Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. Call the meeting to order. Clerk, please call roll.
Burgess. Jones. Myers. States. Washington. Williams. Here.
All right, and if everyone would turn your mics on in front of you. Okay, good. That one's on. Hopefully they start working. All right, we move to item number 2, fire truck revolving loan program and loan agreement. Chief Software, if you would come forward, please. I don't know if your mic's on or not, but if you can double check. And you've been coming to the meetings long enough, so you know, make sure you pretty much eat that mic so people can hear. Right, Judy? Make sure you can hear you, right? You can hear him. Yeah. You hand him that mic right there when we get started.
Well, I don't know, somebody used the boardroom and didn't tell us and everything was all out of shape. Yeah, I had no idea. So I'm no surprises.
Testing 1, 2.
There you go. You would just bear with us for a moment. Alrighty. If you can hand one of those mics over this side, if you don't mind. And Rosie's got no one down by her. That's it over there. All right, I think we're all set. Chief?
All right, good evening, Mayor and Board. Over the last couple of budgets, I was informing the board that it would be getting a couple of years closer to replacing the fire truck. As you know, its time has come. It's going on 21 years old. Knowing the village's finances, I applied for a loan from the state fire marshal's office. We received a letter of acceptance for $350,000 to be paid back 0% interest for 20 years. That's breaking down to about $17,500 a year, once a year payment. I will be meeting with vendors about specs on the new engine. In fact, they've already started coming in. I think as soon as this thing hits the news, that the different towns got these loans, people start calling, which is a good thing. I'll be looking into a bumper tanker. And one of the reasons for that, on our last ISO rating, we received a 4, which is very good for this town. Considering that one of our towers was down, our infrastructure was in despair. They've been working on that. We've got the tower back up online. So hopefully with this bumper tanker, we might be able to get to a 3. And one of the reasons why I'm going with the tanker, not only for the town, but it helps us on the Mavis call-outs, that we've got 2,000 gallons of water to help our neighboring towns. With the approval of the board, I would like to move this process along. I'll be at the Chiefs Conference October 12th, 13th, and 14th. I'll be talking with vendors and getting an idea of what type of truck we can give that will best serve this town. Anybody got any questions? I sent packets out to all the trustees that outline how this money worked out. If there's any questions, if I can help out, I'm more than glad to help.
Trustee Burgess?
Yes, Chief. First of all, I'd just like to congratulate you and whoever it was to help get that financed. 20 years at 0% interest. I don't know how you did it. I don't want to know, but that's a great thing to borrow that kind of money and not have to pay the interest back. I don't know what you did, but that was a yeoman's job. You and your administrative staff, whoever it did to make that happen, was great. There's 2 things that I have to ask of the mayor and this board. I understand you're asking us to give you a consent, give a consent tonight to give the mayor the authority to sign off on this. That's not a problem. The problem I have is we tried to have a meeting before this meeting that we can actually vote, and you wouldn't have to have a consent. The problem I have with the consent means other things can happen this same way, and I didn't want to start a new precedent. Sorry about that, I thought it was off. I didn't want to start something that we are not accustomed to. We usually vote, especially on something like this, and it wouldn't have been a problem if we could have had a meeting at 6:30. We've done that before where we could actually vote on it, because there's another thing that goes with that. When we do that, we also wanted to vote to have a no bid contract authorize you to, in other words, to make that decision that we would vote for this particular time for a no bid. And those are the two things that I was hoping that we were trying to get to have a meeting at 6:30 today. But now, and it is a time constraint, like you said before, that we have to get this done, but you told us in plenty of time that we were trying to get this to be done tonight at 6:30, but it didn't happen. But anyway, I just wanted to say that we need, as a board, we need to start doing things the right way, and the right way is to have it voted out properly, which we could have had a special call meeting at 6:30 today for just that fact, and do it the proper way. I'm hoping that from now on, that by me saying this, that we can do it the right way instead of have a consensus on something like this, because there's other things that are involved in it. As I stated before, the no bid, we could have discussed that. But I just wanted to tell you congratulations. When I get my next car, I'm gonna ask you to come negotiate this for 0%, and I did see the paperwork. That's great. And my last question, the current pumper is due to be paid off this year, correct?
Yes, I got one more $77,000 payment
And this payment will start next year, correct?
in November.
Oh, it starts this year?
Next November.
Next, good. Okay, thank you.
Now, one of the things, and ain't trying to put anybody behind the 8 ball, we've been fighting to get this loan. And we finally got the acceptance letter. I'm gonna be out of town next week, and that thing had to be turned back into the state by the 13th or 14th.
That's right, and that's what I said. I was hoping that we could have had a 6:30 special meeting for just that, because it is important, and it's giving the authority, like you said, you're going to be now here talking to the people that's going to be actually building this, and you're going to be networking with them, and you needed that okay from the board so you can continue to that you can, do your job. And but you did give us plenty of time, so it's not, I'm not talking about you. You did give us plenty of time. It's just that I hate to see it done on a consensus. It should be done the proper way, which would be a regular vote. But this is what it is, and I'm just hoping that from now on that we do it the right way.
I'm going to respond to a couple of these things that were brought up. You're right, we could have had an early meeting tonight, but when I brought stuff to the board, I've heard complaints about the board, from the board, saying you haven't given us enough time to review it. You're bringing us stuff that you plan on us voting on the same night. We can go back to previous meetings where the board members have complained. So tonight what you have before you is a presentation for this. While the chief is asking for consensus from the board, he's asking for consensus so that I can sign the paperwork to have the loan go through. Again, this signing won't purchase a fire truck tonight.
That's correct.
This is all the signing of the paperwork that has to get back down to Springfield so they can release the funds for this fire truck. So, again, I could have brought this before the board earlier. Tonight, we could have had an earlier meeting, but I was basing my information off what the board has made their complaints about in the past, about getting stuff the same night and expecting to be voting on stuff the same night. Now, if you don't want to give your consensus tonight, that's fine, because this won't be voted on until next Tuesday. If you want to wait till next Tuesday, which is the 13th, we will wait till the 13th. We'll sign it once we have consensus from the board on the 13th, and we'll put it in overnight mail, or if we have to, we'll have someone drive to Springfield with this information. Okay, what the chief's asking for is that you give the mayor consensus, go ahead and sign the paperwork so that he can move forward and make sure that everything's there on time for the loan. So I just want to make sure we clear this up about the, number one, the signing. He's asking for you to give the mayor consensus, consensus is okay for the mayor to sign it. It's not the purchase of the truck. And again, you know, I base this meeting off of what the board has said in the past. And we are doing it the right way. You're getting it's presented tonight. And if you don't want to give consensus, it's solely up to you, and you can wait till next Tuesday and vote on it. And after it's voted on, if we have consensus by vote, then I will sign it. So I just want to make sure we clear that up. All right, anyone else? Trustee Tates.
Question. Is it, put the deadline at the 13th, 14th, somewhere in that area?
The 15th.
15th. Is it possible we could have a special meeting, say, this Thursday, and vote on this, so this can, there's money that has to accompany this, is that correct? You have to send money along with the application?
There's a $500 check that has to
Okay.
be sent along with
Okay, so is it possible to have a special meeting on Thursday to deal with this issue, and that way we can make sure that it's in the mail, and it's delivered before he leaves to go on his conference trip?
Oh, there's nothing that the chief has to sign. All the signatures have to come from the mayor, and I will be here to sign. So, again, you're looking at the timing. I don't know if we have enough time to have a meeting posted by Thursday. So, and like I said, there's still enough time to vote on this next Tuesday night if you want to wait. We'll just have to jump through a little bit more hoops. Either we have to send it overnight, or we'll have to send an employee in a car down to Springfield and hand deliver it. Trustee Williams.
I'm sorry, I was helping for, you said the date was the 15th? Okay. Just one. I can understand Trustee Burgess's comment about the need for having a special meeting and that was our precedent, but I can also see the mayor's point of how there has been some concern about this is what we're going to do, we need to vote on it tonight. Two sides of the same coin as far as my opinion goes. I think that I would hope that there's not anybody at the table that would be against this. Trustee Burgess made some really good points. This is 0% financing. This is something that we know that we needed. This is something that the fire department took upon themselves to go out and find the money for, which would be awesome. And I think it's something that is a good thing overall. I don't think unless we had a meeting later on in the day on Thursday, we're out of the time frame to have a meeting right now for Thursday. So I don't know. In my personal opinion, I think it's something that we'll do a consensus about and try to get it up next time. Or the option is for next Tuesday. But if we do it next Tuesday, I'm stating that I would not like to see it overnight. I know that there's going to be additional costs and time and in money of having somebody drive it down. But I think it's something that's important enough to, if the board's decision is to wait till next Tuesday, I think it's important enough that Wednesday morning somebody has that document signed in a vehicle driving to Springfield. And unfortunately, I'd be curious to know what the cost would be for that as far as time and miles and everything. But I don't think it's something that we want to take the chance for overnight. I would personally not think because I think this is a really good thing. But again, I don't have a problem with the consent for tonight. It's, we all know that there's going to be a $500 check that is going to be presented. This is something that has been done in the past, not just with the city administration. But I think it's important that we hear the concerns of trustees and maybe for the next time, kind of be cognizant of that. But as I said in executive session a couple weeks ago, we can't, as a board, have it both ways. If we ask to not have something presented to us and vote on it, then we can't then go back and say, well, how come we're not doing that? How come we're not having a special meeting? So I think, unfortunately, case-by-case situations, and in this case, thank you, Chief and Fire Department for working so diligently, and I am okay with the consent tonight.
Trustee Myers.
Couple things. We all know everyone that's in this room. We had one thing or the other said that we could get, and we stalled for a while. And this particular loan is another document that we had to put together a lot of material. That's for time frame. On page 2 of the document, it says it's got to be in their office by the 15th. We also on page 1 it lists about 7 other documents that we have to get together. And those documents is going to have to be be put together by personnel in this building or by fire department personnel. And this is something that won't come along again for a long time. You have no interest loan. You have one where, Lord forbid, I don't know how, but the fire marshal, gracious enough, gave us a loan when the state of Illinois is supposed to be pretty much so broke. But we got a letter, a document, loan, and everything that we was approved before all this went down. I urge the trustee, if there's any way possible, let's take care of it tonight and get it where we get started and get the other documents so that we have to get it and make sure we can get the money to send down the check with it. There's other steps we can do on that. But once again, this is something that we need. I don't know how many residents in this room at one time or another complained about a bad fire hydrant. We won't ever worry about that again. We got 2,200 gallons of water on that rig. If my firefighters can't put out a fire with 2,200 gallons of water, then we're in bad shape. And that will carry with us to every fire. We won't need that fire hydrant when we first hit it. So if it is a dead hydrant, we still have the water to fight the fire until we lay another 700 feet of line down the road, tag another hydrant. And, excuse me. And again, you're talking about your ISO rating. I don't think too many people in this room know what that means. That's your insurance rating. But that goes, if we lose this and we don't put another 5 or 6, and we don't want that. We're holding our own, but we don't need that ISO rating drop. We're at 4 now, and that's a pretty darn good rating to have a village this size and a volunteer fire department have an ISO rating as 4. You don't get that too often. But when I came out here, we did all public works had their files together, we had our files together, the building department had their stuff together, and everything clicked, and the state gave us a 4. That's darn good. Once again, Mayor, Board members, I urge that let's take care of this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Any other trustees?
I do have,
Trustee Burgess.
Mayor, I just wanted to reiterate, and this is nothing, me being against anything. As a matter of fact, I'm for this 1,000%. I'm just not for how we're doing the process. And it's nothing to do with not voting for this. If everyone is for it, then it shouldn't have been a problem of calling a call meeting, because everyone had these packets for at least a week, maybe more longer than that. And they had a chance to read it over. I just didn't like the way the process was being done. We could have had the vote today over with. You didn't have to have a consensus. That's what I was talking about. Having to vote on something this important as a consensus didn't make sense. We could have did this at 6:30, voted on this, gave him full autonomy to do whatever he had to do. You sign off on the loan, but do it the proper way. I didn't want to set a process that we would continue to keep doing things on consensus. That's what my problem was. As far as the pumper, yes, I'm 1,000% behind that. I applauded the fire department of how they were able to get that loan. That's something that, I really, really admire whoever did and was able to get that type of no interest loan. It's just that the process of what we're trying to vote on, a consent, we didn't have to do consent. We could have did the voting at 6:30. We could have did the voting at 6:30, and we could have been done with it. We didn't have to go because, I know that you stated that some trustees were upset about putting something on the agenda and voting on it the same day. This has been in their package for a while. So that's what I was against, how we did the process. As far as the concept, it's great.
All right, any other trustees? Trustee Washington.
Thank you, Mayor. Trustee Burgess, I'm just asking, could you have reached out to the mayor to let him know this before today?
Yes, he was asked by another trustee to have a meeting, and the mayor said no.
Oh, okay, so we did ask the mayor
Yes.
if we could vote on this before tonight.
Yes.
Okay,
So then trustee Tate's made a suggestion, can we have a special meeting on Thursday? And the mayor and the clerk said that it's not enough time. So then can we have a special meeting on Friday, would be enough time to post the meeting?
We still have enough time on next Tuesday night. If the village board does not want to give consent, we have time next Tuesday night.
Okay, but if us put it into next Tuesday night, it's gonna put it to a point where either we have to overnight it, which trustee Williams says she is not in favor of. She'd rather have someone drive it down as opposed to just having a special meeting, because trustee Burgess feel that we should do it that way so that we won't have to worry about the backlash. Why couldn't we have a special meeting Friday? What difference does it make? I'm just asking. That way everybody is satisfied. We voted on it, it made it in time that you don't have to drive it down the next day or overnight it. I mean, why can't we do it Thursday, like trustee Kate suggested? Thursday is too soon, why can't we have a special meeting Friday? Is that possible? It may not be probable, but is it possible, if you would allow it to be?
It's not possible right now.
Why?
Because we're working on getting a 0% interest loan. They worked hard to get this. It's not that we still have time to pass next year. If the village board does not, I'll make it very clear. If the village board does not want to give consensus tonight, that's fine. You still have the opportunity to vote your vote next Tuesday night, and we'll make sure that the paperwork gets down to Springfield before the 15th. But however, the chief came before the board and asked if he would give consensus so that the mayor could sign, so that he could get the paperwork down there earlier, prior to the date of the 15th, okay? So, it's up to the board, but, you know, for us to call for a special meeting, you know, again, I did tonight what the board asked, and now the board has changed their mind and said, you should have had a special meeting, we should have voted on it tonight. This board made a big deal about it a few weeks ago, about having something brought before this board the same night, and asking for a vote on it the same night, and you made a big deal about it and went on and on all night. We were here to 10:30 that night because you got your feelings offended and hurt. So I did what you asked. I'm presenting it. I'm not presenting it, the chief's presenting it. If the board wants to think about it, that's fine. We'll vote on it next Tuesday night. If the board wants to give consensus so the chief can move forward, you can tell me that you give me the okay to sign the paperwork, and we'll sign the paperwork so the chief can get it turned in.
Well, with all due respect, I don't think that any of us don't want it. I'm just trying to find a way that as a board, we can all work together and collaborate. To me, hearing all of the different trustees voice their concerns, all they want to do is have a special meeting so that we can vote on it, and another trustee don't want it to be overnighted. If we do it by Friday, would that be enough time for you to get it where it needs to go by the 15th, and we would have a special meeting Friday? I'm asking, would that be enough time for you to get it where it needs to go by the 15th?
I don't know. The only thing I know for sure is when I get to conference Sunday, I'm going to make a special thank you to the state fire marshal.
Okay, so then the trust,
Thank you. You don't have documents or okay or something.
so that when,
These chief conferences are about.
I understand, so then when trustee Burgess asked to have a meeting prior to tonight to vote on it,
Trustee Burgess did not ask for a meeting prior tonight to ask for it.
oh, you said another trustee asked.
Another trustee asked, no, I didn't ask.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, trustee Myers asked the mayor to
Okay,
have a meeting prior today. In other words, before this meeting, he has to have one at 6:30, and the mayor told him no.
And I told trustee Myers the same thing I'm telling you all right now. You can ask him. I said the village board does not want to receive something on the same night that they're voting for it.
true,
So I asked, what was the date? I got all the paperwork. Paperwork said it has to be turned in by the 15th. I went to the calendar, I looked, said we have a meeting tonight to be presented. If the board wants to wait till next Tuesday night, which is the 13th, the village board can vote on it. And, you know, we'll work with the chief and getting paperwork done before 15th. Trustee Williams.
Two things. It's not impossible to have a meeting by Friday because we would be within the time frame. However, my concern with the meeting on Friday is the cost. If this is the only item that's on the agenda for that day, we'll be voting on it, it's going to be $800. Every time we call a special meeting, that's $800. That's my open concern. And I don't disagree with that. However, that's not what happened. It was asked to have a meeting at 6:30 apparently. That's not what happened. None of us, I mean,
Do we have
Can I-
consensus? I'm sorry, trustee Jones?
Well, the difference is of this time and the last time that we whined about bringing something to the board and voting on it at the same time is we had this packet already. We had this well over about a week, so that was a whole different scenario than ta-da, let's vote on this right now. So this could have been done a little bit differently.
All right. Do we have consensus to sign the paperwork? I see one, I see two, I see three. So I see three trustees that say they give consensus. I give consensus. So
I just want to say, Mayor, it's not, and I will say this again, it's not what you're doing, it's how it's being done. It's not, yes, I'm sure, I'm for the truck, I've had this packet for a while, I know what it contains, I'm for the process. I just wanted it to be done the proper way without this consensus. If you do everything on a consensus, then why do we need to have board meetings? If everything is done over the phone or by consensus, by whatever, why do we have board meetings? I mean, because there's other things in here. There's a no bid contract stipulation that we need to talk about too. Those other things, that's why we've had special meetings for less than this. This is more important than the other special meetings we have. We had a special meeting, we called a special meeting when we had a meeting. When we had a meeting, we would call an executive session right then and there because what? Something didn't go right. This is important. You're talking about the money. Yes, the trustees have had it. This is not something that you just gave us and we're voting on it. This is something that we've had. But I think it should have been done the right way, and I think we need to start doing things the right way rather than have a consensus board.
all right. So
I have no problem with that. I will vote. I have no problem with voting on the concept for the fire truck. I have no problem with giving the fire chief the authority to go down and look around or whatever he has to do to network to try to get bids or to act as if we do have a contract. I have no problem with that. So yes, I have no problem with that. To say no would say, because I'm sure if you don't say anything, it'll be out there, well, these trustees are not for the water, for the tank or for the fire department. That's not true. I want to put a stop to that right now. Yes, I am for the tanker. I am for it. I'm just not for the process in which we're doing it.
all right, and just so that we're clear, I have consensus to go ahead and sign the documents that have to be presented to Springfield, the consensus of trustee Washington, trustee Myers, and trustee Williams. Again, this is, and trustee, I don't know if he gave consensus. He says he's just in favor of it. Are you giving consensus to sign?
What does in favor mean, Mayor? If you're in favor of something, then what does that mean?
What's a vote? So I will assume that I have consensus from trustee Burgess to sign the documents that have to go to.
That's Mayor, and that's what I'm talking
to
about.
Springfield. Again, we're going to make sure we're very clear on this. These are only giving the mayor the opportunity to sign for the documents that have to be presented to Springfield. This is not the signing for any fire truck. This is not the signing of any bids. This is just signing the documentation that has to be presented to the state fire marshal. Is that correct, Chief? Okay, so we don't have the money yet. This is signing out all the documents to submit for the loans and making sure that we have everything down before the 15th. Is that correct? That's correct. Okay, I just want to make sure it's clear on the record.
I want to make it clear on the record too, Mayor, and I want the clerk to put it down that I did not say anything against it. I said that I was for the process.
Again,
So I don't know if everyone else, I don't know how much clearer that could be. I said I'm for giving the chief and you the authority to sign. I'm against and how you did it. And I want to see that in the minutes, because that's exactly how I stated it.
That's fine. From the wishes of the fire chief, you're the one to ask for consensus. Is that correct? Yes, I did. Okay, thank you very much. So the request for consensus came from the fire chief. You didn't hear a request for consensus come from the mayor. I just want to make sure that's on the record also. All right? With that, thank you, Chief. This will be on the record for, this will be on the agenda for approval, but I'll go ahead and get the paperwork and stuff signed for you.
I appreciate it, Mayor and Board. Again, thank you guys for all your time.
Thank you. All right, move to item number 3, International Warehouse, Inc., Mr. Jesse McGee. And he has a project summary and proposal for the Village of Sauk Village. I think the village clerk is bringing them out. Is there, so we might have to bring those. I got plenty. All right, so we can't get one. I got you right down at the end. And just in case you didn't hear, whoever's going to be speaking, make sure you have that mic very close. You're sitting right at the peak, so when you talk, it's going to sound very loud. The problem is it's only loud in this area, so people in the back cannot hear. So please make sure you keep that, almost have to eat that mic when you're talking. And do us a favor, if you would, state your name for the clerk, and if you have a hard name to spell, if you would, spell it for her also, so she has it correct for the records.
Good evening, everybody, board members, Mayor Hanks, general public. I'm Staley Morgan Hatter, T-S-E-L-A-N-E, Morgan Hatter. I am project manager with the South Suburban Land Bank and Development Authority, of which the Village of Sauk Village is a member of.
Good evening to each of you. My name is Irma Ratliff Holloway, and I am working here with Mr. McGee as it relates to this project, and I am with IRH Developments.
Is that Irma?
Yeah, Irma, I-R-M-A,
And you're with
IRH Developments.
Good afternoon. My name is Joseph C. Ziegler, President of Mary State Development. We do ICF construction.
My name is Jesse McGee. I'm with International Warehousing, and we bring the proposal to you guys tonight. You guys accept it.
Okay, so I'm providing a brief overview and introduction to the proposal that's being brought forth by International Warehouse. Again, South Suburban Land Bank and Development Authority, for those in the public who are not aware, our mission is to help to promote and bring about some level of stability in the housing and commercial sectors in the South Suburban region of Cook County, Illinois. Again, the Village of Sauk Village is a member of the South Suburban Land Bank and has been for the better part of a year now. We've been working really closely with your housing commissioners as well as your mayoral staff to help to bring about projects or new residents to the community to help to spur both economic development as well as move some of the housing stock that's available in Sauk Village. As such, I am in constant communication with various developers, partners, homeowners. We've got partnerships with Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago to bring educated home buyers so that we can avert some of the problems that we've experienced during this housing crisis with the lack of knowledge, knowing where to seek assistance for foreclosure prevention, et cetera, et cetera. Before you today is, again, Mr. Jesse McGee. He is the Vice President of International Warehouse Incorporated, and IWI, as they're also known, was formed in 2006 by the McGee family as part of their strategic plan to diversify their businesses within the 3 core areas of their expertise. The family has owned and operated businesses over the last 30 years, and they have significant expertise in construction, truck hauling, and container storage businesses, and have identified opportunistic market niches within these aforementioned groups. The McGee family has a long, successful history of entrepreneurial business ownership. And the McGee family started their first venture in 1988 in the Solid Waste Management Incorporated, and then emerged with Linda Construction Incorporated to capitalize on the success of solid waste management. They currently operate over 45 trucks and haul approximately 45,000 tons per month. For over 20 years, the McGee family has consistently met its financial goals and improved its position in the marketplace. During the recession of the last 2 years, the McGees have experienced 700% growth in sales, which is a testament to their resilience and foresight. The project summary is IWI has identified a market opportunity for the establishment of a transloading facility in the south suburbs of Chicago, and particularly here in Sauk Village on that core. Project to service the existing needs of businesses currently seeking storage at intermodal yards, as well as throughout the completion of the project, provide transloading for various rail lines. Key components for the success of the facility include the following: access to rail, interstate and highway access, and cost-effective land. IWI, again, has identified the parcel of land owned by the village of Sauk Village, which is roughly that 88 acres at 394 and Sauk Trail, which will take us north to that rail line, and west to right about where that Bear Paint is located. The parcel has the attributes necessary for the successful development of a transloadal facility. And at this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Jesse McGee to further elaborate his business plan.
Again, I'm gonna get a little bit off the script, but you guys can really get a good understanding on, let's say, global business. Global business, like when you're doing business with, like even, let's say, Japan, China, Mexico. The thing that everybody has in common is that goods got to be moved all over, with shoes, tennis shoes, food, grain, whatever, it got to be moved. Now, the problem that we have in, right now, the problem is space. There's no space, right? If you got land, you need to drop the sea. So what we're trying to do here, that 88 acres that you guys have there, we can take the 88 acres of land and open up an mobile yard. Where that what we're gonna do is every time a customer comes in, like a Hyundai, a P.L.A.N, they have some places to store their boxes. Now you guys got two things working with. You already have what we call warehousing. I forgot the name of the street that's on, but you got a building up there that sits right there in the heart of it. By the same token, you got a pad, it's a pad that's already ready to be developed. That's a good thing. So now when you're advertising, let's say Sauk Village, you got things working with. You got storage, and you got space where that you can provide for the customer to warehouse or store their boxes. Because once the goods come into the States, they got to have some place to put their boxes in order for them to go back out of the state, either reload it or just store it. Now, the key thing is this. Either it's Hyundai, P.L.A.N, or CMA, whichever one the customer come in, the yard, which is roughly 88 acres, you can store anywhere from 30 to 40,000 boxes. Each one of those boxes represent a different customer. Now, whenever a customer comes in town, he's gonna need things. You're gonna need a place to store his goods, or you need a place to sell his goods. So everybody's gonna benefit from it, because for such a thing, for a simple reason, you don't know whether it's going to be weed records, food, plastic, or whatever, but they're going to need a service. And by the same token, when the guys come in town, you get their register. You get to know who they're doing business with. When a China shipment coming in town, he might have 500 vendors. But guess what? You get access to all of them. Why? Because you bringing it good to you. And they got to have some place to store that box. They got to have a place where they can put their goods until they get ready to sell it. So what we propose to do, by the warehouses right there, we bring the facility where they can store the boxes right there. And then you got to pay the cost from coming from, let's say, the rail yard. That's another good thing about this. CNN is only around 6 to 8 miles from you guys. That's a good deal. Because now it don't cost them more about $150 to get the box over to us. So you can provide two things. Good location that don't cost much to move. You can store the box. And if you got goods inside the box where they don't have to sell for it, then you got the opportunity where you can warehouse the goods. Either way around, you got jobs. On the warehouse side, on the storage side, and on the trucking side. Because basically, when you walk the yard, there's opportunity for people in the village. If they want to go buy a truck, guess what? That's a job. And you know, like anything else, it's a $3,000 plus week job. So it's not one of those jobs that I can't say it, that when you get it, they ain't going tomorrow. And that's another key thing you got. When you dealing internationally, you ain't got to worry about going out of business. Only thing that put you out of business is yourself. And that means that you start putting unreasonable demands on the customers. Like you start charging for anything and everything. But as long as you stay halfway in the guidelines, everybody gets an opinion, you're going to succeed. Yeah, let's see. I'll forget it.
We can't hear.
Oh, you can't hear? Nope. I'm sorry. Just another thing, guys. Oh, there we go. I'm from the South, so I got the Southern accent, so you might have to ask me to say it twice.
Good job. She was talking about jobs.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, like I said again, this business right here, you got storage, you got warehousing, and you got trucking. In the town, in the village, got to have something that they can rely on for a steady source of income. You got to be known for something. If you're known for transportation, it's a good thing because food, clothing, goods, household goods, whatever, got to be moved. What we're trying to say, let's make Sauk Village that place where that it can be a transportation hub. For the simple reason, you got the CNN right there, they're expanding. Right now, they're telling me it takes 2 to 3 days for a train to go through Chicago. They need to be somewhere where, how can I say it, the train can get unloaded. The customer needs someplace that takes good to be warehoused, they can sell it. And we believe right here in Sauk Village, everything is right there to fit what we need to do. Because you already got one pad, you already got one building that's pretty much 6 or 7% empty. You got one pad that's already ready to go up. And let's see what else. I think that's about it for now.
Just to elaborate a little bit on what Mr. McGee was talking about, the economic impact that this particular development will have during the first phase is basically we're looking to generate at least 50 to 60 full-time positions, equivalent jobs for on-site workers during the first phase of this. Additionally, there will be approximately 115 trucks arriving and leaving the site each day, which allows opportunity for owner-operators to get involved in this process as well. The second phase will also allow for us to have at least 110 full-time jobs available during this project as well. So again, I just wanted to elaborate on the fact that not only are we bringing in tax revenue and things of that sort to the village, but it will allow some sustainability as it relates to jobs for the residents here as well.
All right, I'll tell you what, we'll open up to the trustees. Trustee Myers. You very good, Mike.
All right, couple of things. Now, as the intermodal yard, you will be receiving these containers to be, any item to be inside these containers, correct? and you're gonna store these containers on property, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So now, one part I didn't quite catch, in your statement, you said the containers will be stored on the outside. Then what's going to be stored on the inside?
Well, now, when a container come in, normally when a container come in, all right, normally it's a storage yard, so it's pretty much going to be empty.
Okay.
Okay. Now, let's say they come off the rail yard, they got a load in it, but let's say the customer haven't paid for the freight.
Okay, hold right there a second.
Go ahead.
You just hit on the key point that you didn't mention, but I did see in the paperwork here, so you're also going to be having a rail spur coming into your facility now.
Hopefully at the, probably at maybe the second phase. You know,
There's-
you got to get established first.
Well, there's already rail spurs out there, but there's also going to be another line come across off of CNN Rough Road and bring it up to your facility for that. You're going for that pad that's already prepared out there, correct? There's a pad out there ready for a warehouse to be put on that they have already made and prepared for.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I see no problem with a spur going in there. All right, so with that part, then your initial phase be the major construction. How long would it take this construction phase to be completed before you guys actually start moving product in?
Good thing about this, you know, like we dealing with space, so basically on this, it's just excavation, whereas that you got to just smooth the land out and then bring the compact ratio up. But the biggest thing is, like right now, we get ready to go into the winter months. When you're dealing with that much dirt, you got to move it, and you got that soft spot, it kind of throws you behind a little bit.
That's my next question, keep that in mind.
But the thing is, you know, like, all depends, we'll go through there and walk the site, and we see what spots that we can start at, you know, like maybe on the south end or the west end, and then you figure out how you're gonna make your way through. But you wanna figure out where you get about 15 acres of land, where you can start, you can open up the doors, and you can start doing business, because like anything else, it's November now, right?
Hmm?
Well, we know it's September, but I'm saying, by the time you get settled, everything you're looking at November. You're gonna have some good days, and you're gonna have some bad days. But hopefully, like it's a, you know, it's an easy winter, where the ground won't get soggy, and we can move. So you pick out the hardest part of the land, that's where you're trying to start. But you need 15 acres to start moving. And so as it, you know, you ain't got to do it all at one time, but if you can do 15, 10 acres a day, you know, pretty good.
Yeah, that's average for construction, crews do that's pretty easy. How much of that land is, you know, the back part of that is probably wetland, so you have to cut through that. Does that wetland extend onto the 88 acres that you're purchasing, I do believe?
Well, if I looked at Sitwell, I'm thinking that the wetlands are almost back there to the track, right? So
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking, if I remember correctly, it was roughly around, I'm gonna say 300 feet before you get to the end. So we're gonna stop before we get there, just in case you guys want a retention pond. We're gonna need one anyway.
Well, you're gonna have to put one in, but that's standard by code, yeah.
I ain't too sure what the environmental issues there, but somebody come around here, you know, like, I guess you don't ask, don't tell, I guess. But,
Okay.
but the thing is, you know, like, you wanna bring the water on, because you can't have the water sitting, and you need to have some place for it to go. So,
Yeah, but there again, if you do take in wetland, you have to supply additional space for it on down the way somewhere. So we can cover it up, but you got to redo it somewhere down where the birdies and the fishies and the frogs have someplace to go. So the other question I have is that you said that the first phase, there are possibly 30 to 40 jobs. 50 to 60. Now, those be construction jobs open, or will that be employees working around the containers?
Use the microphone, please.
I'm sorry.
That should be a combination of both. So there will be a couple different areas of opportunity in which, you know, those jobs will be there.
Okay, there probably will be a, what, 8-9 foot fence all the way around the whole property?
whatever the requirement,
Fit this hole, it's easier.
whatever the village requires us to do will be an issue. But one thing I want to add now, when we first started out, the biggest opportunity that's going to be there for guys that we're going to have a little training center. You got to train guys to do what you need to do. So the first introduction to the business is going to be like, if you come in, you got the right attitude, we're going to try to fix you up where you can go get your own truck. For the simple reason, we in the moving business. So the biggest opportunity that you got is to get in that truck, go get the goods, and bring them back to the yard and deliver the product to the customer. That's the main thing. And at the end of the day, that's where the majority of the money is going to be at.
Okay. Just that I've looked in your paper that you handed us, and what you stated, there can be as much as 115 trucks in and out of there a day. So that's going to be triple the amount of truck traffic, which the road and everything was put in, prepared for heavy trucks. So that's all that was over there. Now, I can see this vision, 115 trucks in a day, but what we got out there now, that's going to be a lot of truck traffic going back and forth. The pad that you're looking at, with building a warehouse on, will have its own separate entrance. I know that. And you guys are pretty well close to the front, so you shouldn't bother too much in the back and the back part. But that's something you probably have to look at with your engineers and everything. Make sure that maybe we have to have another entrance or something for you guys if you're gonna have that many. It's always a possibility.
Okay, but one thing I want to add too now, 115 trucks a day is really on the real light side, because you storing 3,000 boxes easily can jump up to 400 to 500 trucks a day.
Right.
But again, more traffic you have, more revenue you get.
We know about that possibility because CNN said started out with 12, went to 20, went to 32. Now we got 50 trains a day going up and down this track. So we know that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's some of the trustees. Next question, Trustee Burgess.
I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. First question, what is it that you want Sauk Village to do?
Pardon?
What is it that you want Sauk Village? You come here, what is it that you need for us to do to make this happen?
First thing, we got to have possession of the land. Because if you ain't got possession of the land, you really can't do anything. Because your customer's not going to come to you. And you can't get the financing. Everything revolves around the land. For the simple reason, now, the only good thing that we got going here is the acres. You got nearly 100 acres. And you got warehousing. You know, when I go to a customer like a Hyundai or P.L.A.N, I can say, hey, listen, I can store 30,000 boxes, and I also got the ability to warehouse. That's a plus plus. You can't get that with a location, let's say they're out there in Elwood, and they got to come back to Chicago, or they store the good in Elwood, and they still got to pay $350 or $400 or $500 to come back to Chicago. When you're right there at CNN, then you can only have, how can I put it, $150 charge, or $100 charge. So it's a win-win deal for everybody.
So you're saying you need to purchase the land from us, is that what you're asking?
Well, I was looking for the land, I ain't gonna say a gift, but let's say a token of good faith.
I mean, I'm just getting down to brass tacks. I didn't hear none of that in the presentation.
Okay.
So you're looking for us to title the land over to you, basically?
Correct. But now, like anything else, we ain't asking you guys to give us anything. We can put boundaries in, like if we in a certain point, at a certain deal, at a certain time, then, you know, we put little clauses in. If we in, let's say in 6 months, if we ain't here, 1 year we ain't there, then, you know, you either fine us, or we keep going, or it reverts back to you guys.
Okay, and also, are you going to build a structure on this land?
Yes.
Okay, now you do understand about fees for that, correct?
Well, see, we know that once we put the buildings up, you guys, see, no, the name of this game, everybody got to make money.
Okay, I just want to know what, I don't want to come back later on and say, okay, we did this, but however, we have to do that. So I really want to get the brass tacks. You said first thing, you need the land. In other words, you need us to make that happen. And the second you're going to put a building there. If you put a building there, anywhere in there, I mean, there's fees and everything else. Are you going to pay those fees, or we're talking now, so I'm trying to find out what you're asking for.
Well, see, that's the time we should have Derek here to handle that one question, right? But what I'm saying is this. I don't know how your tax structure is set up, but we know we're gonna have to put a shop, but when you got 30,000 boxes, you're gonna have a shop by 125 by 200. You know you're gonna have a day shift and night shift, pretty much 16 or 18 guys inside the place, day and night, and you're gonna have at least 10 or 12 out there in the yard.
Okay, that's the workforce, but if you erect or you build and you dig, there's cost in that. Are you prepared to pay for that too? Or is that what you're asking the village to also?
To my understanding, we did a project like this in Mississippi. You take the TIF money, everything that's available, and everything that you can get, and you put it together, you know, and try to make it further a little bit easier. Because see, one thing about this now, guys, it ain't something that gonna pop up overnight.
No.
All right?
So basically you're asking to have the TIF finance this project?
No, because the TIF money, according to what I looked at the schedule, is not enough money. Nowhere close.
Okay, so what are we talking?
Well, what we're saying is whatever's in the TIF and whatever else money that's, how can I say it, that's that can be appropriated to the job site or whatever, we would like to have. But for some reason, it eases the burden on them.
Okay, so then, let me go back. Land purchasing, TIF, in other words, you want to be able to build this project or whatever and use the TIF money or whatever else may be available to do that. Those two things you're asking for. Anything else?
I'll say it again. That's why we need Derek. Derek's the guy that...
We do understand that there are fees and things associated with the building and development of this. Of course, we want to have access to whatever the village will allow us to have access to, but we are aware that there are fees, there are taxes that need to be taken care of as well. So that is a part of our plan to do that. So we are aware of that.
But, maybe I didn't make it clear enough. If you don't get these two things, what are you prepared to do then? Because what you're doing, you're having, this facility that you're going to put in is something like what Harvey has right now, correct? Harvey, Illinois, they have an mobile center there too that they load containers. That's basically what you're talking about putting in, correct?
Well, Harvey runs a railroad spur. Yeah. That's a different deal.
Okay, but are you gonna have something to lift the containers off the railroad and put them on the trucks and things like that, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that particular equipment, they have that too. But that's something that you guys are gonna purchase, correct?
Well, here we go again. Now, once you put the railroad spur in, I'm assuming they're gonna serve the building. If the railroad spur come in and come all the way to the container yard, 9 times out of 10 they'll be bringing the empties. All right, they'll be picking up their empties and go back. But when you start dealing with the setup that's CNN, remember, these are big machines, these are stackers. These machines, they weigh roughly, I'm gonna say 80 tons. Right. All right, you pick it up 40 tons, all right? So that means the pad that you put down is gonna be real expensive because now you ain't talking 6, 8 inches, you're talking 16 to 12 inches. I mean, up in order to sustain that weight. Right. Now the question becomes, you can't put no more than about 75 cars on that little strip there. Is it worth it? No, it's not. So you, in the empty business, you have empty containers. Now you might get a load every now and then, but you ain't gonna put yourself in a position where that you're gonna be able to handle loads because you ain't got the space or you ain't gonna be able to handle the cars in order to justify the expense.
So you're saying that what you're gonna be handling, because you said we, who's building the pad? We are or you guys are?
Correct me if I'm wrong here now. TIF money didn't cover they cover for the building. Did TIF money for the building? I don't think so.
I'm sorry.
I said, I don't think you guys have enough TIF money in there to cover the building.
No, that was going to be my, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know how much money you're looking at or what someone said, but what I wanted to know, if these things are not met, this is one of your conditions of trying to move out here with the idea that we would donate the land, however you're talking about, and also whatever money that's available towards this project. If it's not enough, are you willing to add the difference? And if not, I mean, what are you looking at as far as trying to come up or come out of the TIF? In other words, how much money are you talking about that would be a cutoff? If we only have $300,000, is that enough? Or is it a minimum of, is there a minimum that you need for us to donate or not donate, well, kick in? And then once we do that, because you do understand about TIF money, I guess all the other businesses in there have to be in agreement with that. So, because they actually contribute to the TIF, so that's something that we would have to sell to them. But I just want to know what your cutoff rate that you have to have in order to make this business go through. Because I didn't hear none of that. I'm just trying to figure out how much that would be.
Okay. When we first looked at this deal, we had talked to Debbie.
Okay.
She gave us a plot on how much TIF money was going to be assessed to that particular land or that particular site. So we worked around the number that we already have.
And that number was?
I forgot the exact number. But that's the number we used.
Okay, I don't know what was transpired, but now you're here before the board. We kind of need to know, because that's who has to actually have the final say. That's why you brought this here. So we need to know exactly what you're talking about before we can even go through with the deal and what it is exactly that you need from the village before we can move forward. I know that you talked down at IML with her, correct?
Pardon?
Did you, was this, when you talked to the clerk, was it at IML?
No.
Oh, okay, well, wherever you talked to her at, you know, you came and you haven't, you know, you're talking to the board now. We need to know brass tacks so we can make an educated decision whether or not we can do this or whether we cannot. And that's why I was asking how much we're talking about that you need for us to contribute to make this happen. I like the concept, I understand the jobs, but I just want to know what the village has to put up in order to make this happen. And I'm hearing a lot of you this and you that, and I'm just wondering, okay, I have no problem with that, but we need to know what numbers we're talking about, because we're talking about something out of the ballpark. I mean, the TIF does have money in it, yes it does. Exactly how much it is, I don't know. I don't know what the village clerk told you how much was in there, but we need to know that before we can move forward, and anything else that you may want the board to write off or whatever, we need to know that too. So those are some of the things that we need to know. I understand, but in order to move forward, we need to hear from you what it is that you really, really want. I mean, I like the concept. I know what you're talking about doing, but we need to know bottom line.
All right, to our understanding, this was just a preliminary meeting, just as an introduction. If you are interested in the concept, then we'll come back with our numbers and everything in a row, you know, all secured and everything for you. But at this point, we were just told that this was going to be an introduction as to what the concept was and to see if it would be anything that the village would be interested in entertaining.
Intermodal is huge.
We know.
You saw the trucking companies that are around here. That's very huge, but and it is. It sounds great. Right. And it is a win-win for the village, but at what cost?
Sure, sure.
And
so
we need to know what we're dealing with. I mean, you know, it's a great concept. If you're going to dig, there's certain things that you have to do, and then there's impact fees and things, which I'm pretty sure you already know about those.
We do.
So I just wanted to find out, yes, you came with this, it's a great proposal. I know exactly what you're trying to do, and I know that you will make money there. But what is it going to cost us? That's the thing.
The reality of it is, you know, if all hearts and minds are clear of the fact that it is of interest to the village, then we'll make another appointment to come back with you and meet with you all again with all of our numbers intact, spelling out specifically what it is that we're looking for the village to do, if that's okay with you all.
Okay with me, yes.
And you're right. And, you know, when it came for the village, or came, said, hey, we have this concept we'd like to bring to Sauk Village. So he said, you know, let's get before the village board, let you kind of give your concept. Now, if you look at the paperwork that they provided, starting on page 1, 2, 3 at the very bottom, starting number 4, at the bottom of it says the proposal. The last page talks about what they're looking for. And it talks about taxes, it talks about liens, the property make sure you're clear, it talks about remediation. You know, they put a lot of this stuff inside their proposal already that you had in your boxes. Some of this stuff, you know, they're asking for the land, the village to donate the land. But to kind of give you an idea of some of the things that they're also asking for, it's already there. They're asking for availability for federal, state, and of course any type of grants. Now, we don't give out grants, and I think when we talked, they explained what the village would do and come out with a letter of support. If the village board decides this is something that we want to go with, the village would come out with a letter of support and reaching out to our state and federal representatives and to the state agencies, asking for their support and their help in making sure that we bring another business to the state of Illinois, which we talked about doing that once the board gave the approval. They're asking for it to be inside a TIF, which it is. The area that they're looking for is inside a TIF. They're looking for an enterprise zone, which it is right now currently sitting inside an enterprise zone. The enterprise zone would help with the building material. Again, that allows them, and I should have refreshed my memory before I came, but the enterprise zone allows them to buy the material pretty much tax-free. So cutting the taxes off that material that they're bringing into the TIF and into the enterprise zone that they're building. They talked about the rail spur. We've already been working with South Florida mayors and managers for probably the last 6 to 8 months, and CN, and we've already gotten agreements with CN to put in a second rail spur, which comes right off of the rail as, you know, if I had a map it'd be a lot easier, but coming right off and going right down, going north and west along 394. So right now we have a rail spur that's a little bit further west that comes in and goes all the way up to Winpack. This would be a second rail spur that CN has already given the approval if we move forward with building to allow Sauk Village to go ahead and put that second rail spur in. So, you know, some of the work, and again, we started on the second rail spur before you even approached us. Again, that's part of selling the property and that's part of marketing the property. That's why we were able to build the other property to the west so quickly, because of rail access. So we've been working very hard on making sure we have rail access to the property that's not developed yet. So we've already been working on that, and they talked about rail access. So that's already been taken care of. And you know, and I think, you know, it's important that the board realizes, you know, what are you looking for? I think if you study that last page, it pretty much spells it out what they're looking for. And I think, I make sure I told the village clerk, I don't know if she explained it, there'll be no direct response tonight. This is a committee meeting, this is where you present it. We're not going to tell you yea or nay. The board's not going to say move forward or anything like that. I mean, that's going to be later on in the vote. And I think probably some of the trustees may talk among themselves, they may read through your material a little bit more. They may go back and reach out to the village clerk, the village administrator with questions. He or she may come back to you and say, can you answer these questions? The board has these extra questions. But again, tonight was just kind of, you know, here's a face that you can see they're presenting something that they think would benefit Sauk Village and its residents, bringing jobs and kind of economic growth. So I know you probably don't have all the answers tonight, because I think when we talked, you know, we said, you know, as we move this project forward, you're going to need maps, you're going to need drawings of what it's going to look like. Again, a lot of those things that we know is going to come further. You're not going to put the money into this project if the village board is not in favor. So I think that's what we talked about, and that's one reason bringing you before the board tonight. So, Trustee Lynn? Oh, Trustee Jones?
Okay, well, I just want to give a few, so people, the audience knows how container yards work. I've driven piggyback a few years ago, so I know some of the problems that piggybacking could bring to communities. So I just want to ask a couple questions, see if they rectify some of the the problems that I occurred in some of the communities that I did piggybacks from the rail yards. Okay, will you have an overflow yard?
Okay, excuse me. All right, now, you deal with 88 acres, right? 88 acres is a lot of land. Now, I hear, I'm assuming that you can go at least 6 high, because you ain't in the city where, you know, that requirement is 3 high. The difference is, I hear you got land. You got to cross the street. Remember something, guys? I'm sorry. The more space you dedicate to this, the bigger you, like I said, the more prosperous your business is going to be. It's just as you got to, what I'm saying is you got to have some kind of mark where that you're going to generate money. You got to have something. The bigger you are, the more clients you bring into town, the more people can see exactly what Sauk really has to offer. Sooner or later, see, remember something. This is the key word here. Let's say if you're dealing with Hyundai, they got a customer over there that needs some space. You got access to Hyundai database because you got that customer list and you got his goods inside your warehouse. Sooner or later, one of them guys ain't gonna want to pay that space for the warehouse. You're gonna want to put his own warehouse up. There's a lot of things that come with this that you might not see in the beginning, but if you stay with it long enough, ain't nobody gonna continue to pay rent when they can own it. So what you do, you put yourself in a situation where you can grow. I hear you guys got the ability where a transportation company can grow. You got to specialize in something. And right now, like I said again, you're right there at that point where that you're in a good spot. You got the railroad right there, you right there at the spur, and then just like that's like say CNN, BNN, all of them got this little deal where they can rent each other line. You're in a good spot. So the course deal, you got to take advantage of the spot. Have anybody out here been to Elwood? Elwood is what BNS, you know what that? Then you know 15 years ago there wasn't nothing there, nothing. Now you can't move. Used to be 200 trucks, 9,000 trucks a day. You got businesses that popped up all over the place. Basically, and Elwood is 50 miles or plus from Chicago. It costs anywhere from $325 to $500 to come back from there to here. Only thing you're trying to do is fill that little niche, where that the customer ain't got to pay the transportation cost from there to here. Now, don't get me wrong, now you ain't gonna be able to handle all the work, but guess what? What you got 10,000 people this time? 10,000 people take? You can take care of yourself, but you got to look at the city. You know, you got to do something. You just can't sit there and don't take advantage of the stuff around you. You want Microsoft, then you got to cater to Microsoft. But the thing is, you need a transportation hub, so you got to take advantage of what you got.
Well, me personally, when I moved out here, I like the land. I like to look at the land. I like the greenery. I think we have a eyesore on the east side of 394. And to have 6 stacked containers, you're gonna stack them right there at 394, to come right over the hill and see these containers, that's just one thing that just don't sit real good with me. But I'm gonna get back to this. Are you gonna have a washout for the hazmat trailers?
We don't do the hazmats.
So you won't have any empty hazmats at all?
None.
That's good. Okay, and now I know there's times where there could be 60 trucks sitting on the highway waiting to get in. I've waited 4 hours to get inside of a couple of rail yards. What are we gonna do to alleviate that traffic headache of trucks sitting on the side of the highway?
Well, I'm glad you said that, because by you being in the business, you and I both know what the problem is. Lazy workers. Now, if you can turn around and you can hold 20 or 30 trucks inside and everybody do their job, then you won't have that problem. But when you got guys that are gonna come to work, instead of taking, 6 minutes to go over a vehicle, they taking 35, then that's an issue. But by the same token, again, that's all on the management again. You know, you fix it before it get out of hand.
So all your trailers, you won't have any super heavies with the 3 axles?
Again, now, when you handle the empty part, when the 3 axles come in, you won't be having the load that's on the load unless it's going over to the warehouse. Now remember, the whole purpose of that 3rd axle, you don't want to get that scale down there. You know, that scale is ain't nice.
Will you be stacking chassis?
Yes. For the simple reason, you and I both know, you're getting paid by space. The higher you go, the more, like I said, the more you generate for the space.
And what, do you have a website?
You ready? Now, we didn't put one up for the International Warehouse yet. So, Linda, L-I-N-D-A, construction, at global.net. Yeah.
You said L.I., right? Okay, that is good. Yeah, she's wondering with a Y. I ask myself why every day. Trustee Williams.
I have a couple of questions for the board, and then, I'd like to see. Because the first time anyone has ever told me they can't hear me. So, I'd like to know how many acres you're talking about. I think you said around 80?
88.
Okay. I'd like to know how much that land is worth, since that's the our location. Also, I'd like to know how much money is in the TIF. And again, are we planning on depleting that amount of money? Again, as a donation? And has Mary McKenna been introduced to this project? What are her thoughts on this? About our attorneys, what are their thoughts on this? And then with all this extra trucking, what do we plan on doing with our truck enforcement program? I know you're new. I know that this is something that we only just started kind of revitalizing again. But I know one of the problems that Trustee Jones talked about, and I was thinking about, was, and I'm not a trucker, I don't know about the program, like too much about this, but my vision is that there's going to be a lot of truck traffic, which could cause backup, which could cause, more structural damage, more traffic, more pollution, more blah, 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 and so many different more. So one of the things that I would like, if they're planning on coming back, one of the things, the question I would have for the village is those answers. I'd like to know those answers. And then-
Trustee, real quick. I mean, these are great answers. I'm sorry, these are great questions. And to get to the point, we know 88 acres, okay? The cost for what it is worth, that's not a problem. We'll get that for you. The other question you brought was Kane and McKenna and the attorneys, okay? There's still some missing information that has to be provided before we bring them in, okay? Because it costs the village to bring our consultants in, okay? They have not been brought into this yet, okay? Because first of all, this is early in the process. They're presenting to the board first to see if the board's interested. If it looks like the board's interested, they're going to go to the next steps. They'll start getting the drawings, the maps. They'll come back with a plan to show you what it's going to look like and what they want to do with that 88 acres, okay, which they don't have tonight. Once we have a better understanding of what is going to happen to that land, the size of the buildings, where they're going to be located, things like that, that's when we'll get Kane and McKenna involved. They'll start looking at the financials, what kind of tax revenue will that bring into the village. They'll start looking at our TIFs, how much money is available. Again, it's TIF, number one, any work that's done has to be TIF allocated or eligible work to be allocated. But at the same time, we also have other companies inside that TIF that we have obligations to, okay? So our obligations are to those businesses, and usually you look at what we have left over, that would help bring in additional businesses, and as that tax revenue goes up, you know, that helps bring in additional businesses and moving forward. So there is open questions, but we still have open questions when it comes to this project that we have to have answered so that we can answer your questions. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I just want to make sure that in the back of our minds that we are keeping Mary, our attorneys, and the truck enforcement program in the back of our minds.
Well, they're not in the back of mind. When it comes to Kane and McKinnon and the attorneys, they're very much up front, okay? But we're not going to spend the revenue to move forward until we understand the scope of the project and what the end result's going to be.
This project is shared with both P.L.A.N and attorneys.
Right.
It's too early to bring them in.
I just want to make sure.
Because they have about as much information as you have.
Right.
So, you know, there's some open questions, and there's some little things they can do. I'm sure Mary can look at it and say, well, the land for the 88 acres is worth this much. You know, we look to our village engineers. They would look at and say, that property you're looking at, certain percentage of it is wetlands, because we already know where the wetlands are already located. They're going to be able to say, what percentage is buildable? They're going to say, okay, we already know that we have oil pipes that are running along 394 over here. They're going to see if we have any electrical that runs through any of that property. But we're not doing any of that until we know for sure exactly once we get the maps and where everything's going to be located.
Okay. And then my only question for you guys is, Trustee Burgess touched on it briefly, and I'm not sure that I got a clear enough answer. So, besides the impact fees, how and any tax revenue that we would get, is there any plan to repay or reappropriate any funds back to the village? Depending, if you're looking for the 88 acres, which again, I'm not sure the exact amount of money that's worth, and as well as any extra TIF money that we have to be promoted into this project, is there any plan on that coming back, or we as a village, is your expectation that that will just be gifted and then we'll just kind of get money from impact fees, extra sales taxes from truckers coming into the town and sales tax?
Yeah, I think that's probably your next presentation, right? So, yeah, Mary, thank you.
It was early again for us to bring all of those numbers to the table because we don't have all the facts to even bring those numbers to you, you know. So upon our next meeting, our engagement, we'll have all of that available to you as well.
Trustee Williams?
Just have one last question. The land that you're talking about.
What about?
Use the mic.
No respect to the person, try that.
The land that you're talking about, does it matter? Okay, because there's a lot of wetlands back there. There's a lot of wetlands back there. Does all of the land have to be non-wetland, or can some of that land that you're talking about be wetland? In other words, can you use some of the land if it is wetland?
All that depends on the compact ratio. All that depends on how it compacts. But you guys got one thing, you know, like that piece of land, the 88 acres, it ain't what you call flat. What makes it a little bit more attractive is that the excavation that you guys had done, and y'all put the dirt on the other side of the street there, you know, you possibly can bring some of it back, not the topsoil. But I'm thinking that, I ain't get a chance to look at it yet, but the stack seems like it's mighty high. So the thing is, you get like a 2-for-1 deal. You get a piece of property that's already got dirt on it, you get a chance to bring it back over and fill some of the spots that it needed on the other side. So you get a 2-for-1 deal.
Okay, so, but I love that word you say, you guys. Who's going to be doing the excavating? Will it be us or you guys?
We're going to do our own excavating.
Okay. Because when you say you guys can bring the back over and, you know, I'm just looking for it.
Last time I was on the meeting, I kept saying, then I looked around and said, what do you mean I? You just got one guy?
Okay. That's
heard the
good.
word I don't even know.
That's good. Then, yeah, okay, because it may be some land that may be contiguous that may have, in those 88 acres, you may have some wetland. I just want to know what percentage would be, acceptable, because I'm sure all 88 acres is not all dry. I know that it's gonna, because now you can use that part of that's wetlands to dig out and put your retention pond in. That could be something that you can use that for. So,
Well, now I'm gonna speak to you as an excavator. We're only gonna use what, how can I put it, cost efficient. Now, if it costs too much, we're gonna leave it alone. But I would say again, you guys have space. You got the space across the street.
Oh, I know where.
You always can expand now, right? You can put the wetland there and.
I know exactly what you're talking. I know exactly what you're talking about, where it's at. It's just that I just wanted to let you know that all of the contiguous area may not be all dry. It may have some wetlands in it. I just wanted to know what percentage would be acceptable, basically. And that's, if it's 20% of it is enough, but 30 is too much of the 88 acres, because, I'm sure when our engineers get back there, they have the plot survey, they know what's going on. What would be, something that you would not be able to accept? Because like I stated before, some of that you can use, you could probably put certain things on wetlands and certain things you cannot. That's all.
Well, so that's true too, because like I say again, always come back to the compact. If the land is stable enough, instead of trying to stack, you just put a unit over there that's already mounted, you know what I mean?
Right.
You're a truck driver. So you can just use that area for like a drop and hook yard.
Right, there you go, as a setup or whatever. You would use that to stack. Right. Okay, I just wanted to make you aware that there is wetlands back there.
All right, I would encourage everyone to go ahead and continue reading through this stuff. If you have any questions, send it to the village administrator, and the village administrator should be able to have contact between, you have all their contact information. So I'm sure there's going to be more questions as they read through this a little bit more, and especially when we get to that last page. Write your questions down, even the questions you had tonight, if you didn't feel like they were answered. Make sure you write those down, give the village administrator, we'll get them back to you. So, as long as the board's in favor of this, we'll get them back in again. We want to see what your plan is, and then when you come back, you should be able to have those questions prepared to answer from the board. All right? Thank you very much. All right. Thank you. All right, move to Sauk Village adopt a rose bush program. I know that we've got. Thank you. Mr. Sullivan's coming forward. You should know, Robert.
Bear with me, because this is the first time I've ever done this. Yes, my name is Edward Sullivan, and I'm a resident of Sauk Village. And Cecil, I should say trustee Tates, and myself is in the process of having adopted rose bush for the village here at the Veterans Memorial Walk. Now, I know where you know where that's at. It's out there on the back there. We have Veterans Day. Okay. What we'd like to do, first of all, I have it right here. Bear with me, please.
While you're pulling that out, go ahead, pull your stuff out. We're going to go, I just want to kind of give you see, Mr. Sullivan came to me, was it last Tuesday night? I think it was last Tuesday night. He presented this, what he wanted, what he and Trustee Tates have been working on, they adopt a rose. I think it was last Tuesday night that Trustee Tates asked him to put on the agenda, if I remember correctly, to review this. What we're talking about is adopting a rose bush. He's going to present the program, what they want to do. But this is along the walkway going up to the memorial, right here to the side of the building. And I'm sure people are going to have some questions. He's got an application that he's passing out now, right?
It's not an application, it's just what it is that explains what we're going to be doing.
Okay.
And a flyer that you can give to the people who wants, would like to do it.
Right.
They mark down what they have or what roads they would like to have. And what we have here is a booklet from Jackson and Perkins, and I figured that would go from one person instead of going to different places. We go to one place here, Jackson and Perkins, and we have the roses written down there on the paper of what roses that we would like to have distribute around to the people that wants to do it. Now, these people are going to be paying for their own rose bush, and they will have to maintain the roses and see that they grow all right. If they don't know that much about it, I mean, I'm here to help out if they want me to do it. So, I mean, it's a good, I think it's nice. I don't know, it's for the village, and I think the veterans would like to have it. I know the village would like to have it. And then what we should do on top of that is that we should have something to introduce the walk to it. And I find that we have a rock in the back. And the rock indicates the memory of veterans. And I feel that if that rock can be put up in front and show the people of the village of what we have, I think it would be really, really nice. And I don't know if anybody knows about that rock in the back. And don't you think that maybe that rock would be better putting up there in the front by the veterans than being in the back by the park?
You know, let's talk real quick about this rock, because I know we're getting off subject here. That rock was only moved there temporarily, okay? That rock was hidden in front of the police department with bushes and everything growing all over it. When the beautification committee started to clean up the front of the police department, that rock was found buried under bushes and debris and weeds. So for them to be able to finish that, Public Works moved that rock at that location right there. Beautification committee has plans to bring that rock, and I know Linda's sitting right there, that rock, that memorial rock that's sitting back here, that is to be brought up over here and pretty much on the hill, and they've had plans to put, to beautify it and to put it like a memorial or something around it. They have not got to that because of everything, and there's only 3 people that's working on the beautification committee right now. So they are working really hard on finishing up what they have started, but that is on one of their lists to have that memorial rock moved over to the hill, just to the south of the current memorial, and again, and fixing it up. So I know a lot of people, I heard it before too, saying, we stuck a memorial rock in the back. Well, no, we found, I didn't find it, the beautification committee found it buried underneath a bunch of branches and trees and bushes, okay? They brought it out just temporarily to move it back there until they can prepare a spot over here. So I just want to make sure I clear that up, okay?
Well, I didn't know what was happening.
And a lot of people don't know because there's been some things said from people that had no idea what they're talking about. So.
Okay, so that will be put out in the front there by the memorial walk?
That's the plan to be moved over here, just south of the memorial, correct?
Public Works wants to move it over, Kevin wants to move it over where there's evergreens on this side of it.
Right.
That's what Public Works wants to move it. That's what we're waiting for Public Works to move it. And then put something around it.
Is that south of the walk?
South.
Yes.
Yep.
There's 3 evergreens that sit on a hill. Kevin's suggestion was to move that rock in where these evergreens are at, and then put a landscape around it, something very simple,
It won't happen this year, but I think the goal is next year, right?
Right.
Because we're already getting into the fall months, but the goal will be for next year.
Well, with this program here is for next year too as well.
Correct.
I mean, what we're doing now is getting it prepared and then whoever wants to do it, I have my phone number down there, and I can come up and write down whatever they want, what roses they would like to have, and explain to them what they have to do and what's necessary.
I know the trustees are just getting this, so, you know, I don't know if you have any questions right now. Does anyone have any questions? I mean, I've got some stuff written down, and if you don't mind, I'd like to throw some of my stuff out there. I just want to find out. But you talked about it's the individual, if they're to purchase it and maintain it.
Yes.
I guess the question I would have is if someone purchases one and they do not maintain it,
I will.
well, you're here today, and don't take this wrong.
I know I might not be here
You're not
tomorrow.
gonna be here for the next 30, 40, 50 years. I don't know how long you're gonna be here, okay? I don't know how long I'm gonna be here, okay? What I'm saying is there something that says if you don't maintain it, you lose your right to that flower, and someone else has the right to dig it up and put a new one in?
Well, at that time, I mean, that person might not be here either. So if it is going to be there,
Right.
then it could be dug up or maintained by another person. So they can adopt it and be passed down to whoever is adopting it.
I just didn't know if there's something that says, I didn't know if there's something that in your paperwork.
There
that
is.
says You have to maintain it. If you're not maintaining it.
Right, and also when we do plant them, and then we do have enough room to where we can plant in between, because there might be some other people that, like Debbie has the bricks, they're gonna be laying down new bricks. Now, they might wanna have a rose bush themselves, so there's enough room in between there to maybe for them to plant their tree. And it's first come, first served now.
And very good point. I can say first come, first served. Question is, how many rose bushes are you planting and how far apart are they?
Okay, the rose bush. The rose bushes that's on there, what we did is that we've spaced them out to where it's about 3 feet apart. And it's, all the X's are the bushes, yes. And so, in other words, they have enough room there to maintain them and grow other rose bushes as well, and for the comb to go over it. Now, what we have here, that when we do order enough rose bushes, it's going to be a discount. But the discount, instead of us paying for it, the village paying for the fertilizer, that will go for the fertilizer for maintaining the roses. So it doesn't really come out of anybody's pocket.
I missed something. I missed something. You said something about the village paying for fertilizer?
No, the village will not have to pay for the fertilizer.
Okay.
They will provide it?
What we do is that who is maintaining it, whether you want to leave the fertilizer up here or at someone's home, I mean myself, because I'm kind of, I'll be there and seeing that everything's being taken care of, it'll be there. And when it's ready to be put down, I mean, because you only fertilize the rose bushes every 6 weeks. So you don't have to use that much. And it wouldn't be a liquid fertilizer, it would be granulated fertilizer.
All right, trustee Burgess,
Yeah.
Yes, have you talked to Kevin Weller about this project?
Who?
Kevin Weller, Public Works Director.
Yes, and he says it's not up to him, it's up to whoever's in charge of the veterans. And that's why.
No, I'm talking about as far as the placement and things like that, you know, the placement of, because he ultimately is going to be the one that if nobody else does it, someone's going to have Public Works to back it up, is what I'm saying. And also how you're going to put the rose bushes. That's my first question. The second question, how are you going to label the rose bushes?
It stays down there, markers.
Okay, what, stick it in the ground? I suggest that you
That will be stuck in the ground. Also, there will be, the papers that they have, I'll have copies of that, knowing which one is who has what rose bush.
The reason why I'm saying if you stick it in the ground, somebody can unstick it. You need to find a way to
Well,
fix it.
that's everywhere, but you
Well-
you can't foresee that. You have to have some trust in this people. Sure, you're gonna have that problem. But we still have you still have the papers to back it up.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if I go out there, just me, I put my rose bush in, it was maybe the 5th one or whatever from the front or what, however it is.
Yeah.
Next year, that's gonna grow in. You talk about 3 feet apart, you won't see anything. That's gonna grow in 1 year. 1 year is gonna grow in. So now mine, how can I tell I'm the 3rd one? It may be all in one row, and I got.
Oh, no, it's not gonna be a one row. If you look at the diagram, I gave you both sides.
But you said 3 feet apart.
3 feet apart, and then it's gonna be planted.
Then that means you got 3 feet. Okay, if it grows in 1.5 feet, then it's gonna grow in.
No, not this. We're looking for tea roses. And tea roses do not. You know.
Yes, I do know what tea roses are.
Tea roses don't grow outward; it grows upward.
Okay.
So you can maintain it, and you know what's going on.
But I still.
We're not going to be getting the ones for that grows on the ground or whatever.
I still think you need to kind of go over with Kevin with that, because that's something that it's going to be a fix. It's going to be permanent there. And then also, how are you going to designate whose rose bush is who? Right now, you can do it with the bricks because it's right there. But this is going to be, it's not going to be fenced in, so it's going to be an open. Kids do walk past that each and every day because they go to and from the community center. So I'm just asking.
That's not by the community center.
They do a lot.
They walk back and forth from the community center through the back here.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just wondering how, so you won't be able to contend, and it is at night, so I'm just looking at other than just a stake, maybe something to fix to the rose bush that has a name on it, that's a laminated card or whatever, something that would make it kind of hard for them to kind of take it away, or a different way. Be nice if you could have it in such a way that you have a brick to sit on top, sit right there, something they can't really take out. It's just a matter of throwing it out there.
Brick, if you want to have the brick, then maybe we could talk to Debbie and say, Debbie, okay, you want to add?
No, I'm just saying something that could be
the name on it. I mean,
something other than a stick sticking in the ground.
Huh?
Something other than a stick sticking in the
It's
ground.
not a stick. What would you call it? It's not just a stick.
Okay, I'm just saying that.
You have pros and cons on it.
No, I like the area to be, it's nice. It's gonna look beautiful when it comes in. I'm just looking at maintenance, and at one point, how are you going to distinguish whose rose bush is whose? Because they will grow in. I know you're saying that it won't, but sooner or later it will grow in. And also, what are you going to have underneath? Because if you don't have anything underneath to prevent weeds, that's going to grow in.
You mean by maintaining it itself?
Yes.
Well, I'm not going to ask Kevin to do that.
No, I'm not asking Kevin to do that. I'm saying that we need to probably look at a way that when you put the rose bushes in, where is it going to be where weeds cannot grow? You got to have
what do you have out there now that the weeds don't grow?
Beautification committee.
Okay, I'm just looking at that. You have to have it so the weeds.
We'll have a mulch out there that maybe.
Okay.
And then also, what you could do is that when you do put the bushes down, you put down trees, which will eliminate the.
Oh, so you go, okay. Well, if you have guidelines for the people that are going to buy it, then they abide by the guidelines, and they do the fertilizer, to get the fertilizer the way you say. I mean, if you put all that down and they sign off on that, that's fine. That's
But
fine.
they're gonna, like it says, they have to maintain their roads.
Okay, that's a good idea. Let's hope
If
that.
they don't do it, I'm sure that we could maybe put a committee together for the village.
Good point. Trustee Williams.
Okay, I have a couple questions. them purchasing the plants and then maintaining. The person who purchases it, are they gonna be the one to plant it?
No,
Okay.
no, they don't have to plant. They'll be there to help plant it. I'll be there, or someone will be there to help plant it.
Okay.
Because I have to, I'll show them how to do it, because it'll be their work.
Okay, that's something that maybe needs to be included in this, or kind of more like a project plan, because I guess my concern is that if I plant a rose bush like this, and you plant a rose bush like that, maybe we've got different styles, whatever, it's not gonna look the uniform way that you want it to look. So I think that needs to be looked at. And you talked about fertilizer also, storing the fertilizer either here or somewhere else, but nobody was ever clear upon how do you get the fertilizer. Do we have to purchase it? Is that?
Oh, of course.
Okay, so is that something the village is gonna have to purchase?
No, I said they don't have to purchase it.
Okay, who's gonna purchase it?
I'll do it.
Okay, so I don't know how much fertilizer we can use for 22 rose bushes, but, okay, so that's not.
No, we're talking about how many roses?
42 actually.
42 roses.
When that was measured out, there's 15 plants on each side of the bricks. And then you can see the semi-oval. There's 6 in each of those areas, so that's a total of 12. So it's a total of 42.
Okay. Okay, so 42, okay, so, and I guess you talked about the people who purchase it maintain it. I know that the mayor questioned also, if they're delinquent on maintaining or whatever, is this something that the beautification committee, not, that, you know, they don't have enough to do, but is this something that we would be asking them to step in and do? Because we already asked them to maintain parts of that area, we asked them to maintain other areas, so is that something that?
I wouldn't ask them to do it, but if they would be willing to help out, I'd be more than happy to have it. But I'm not going to come up to them and say, would you do this? Because I'm kind of like you say, they have enough to do and there's only a few that do it.
Okay.
So, but to maintain it, that I've worked with roses, I was a landscaper at one time. I know about roses. I know what roses do. I've raised enough. I raised over 75 to 80 rose bushes in my yard. So I know what it is on roses. I know what it is on flowers. I've worked with the beautification out here as well, and I know what can be done. But I'm not asking the beautification to do it. If they come up and say, I would like to help out, I'll be more than happy to say yes. But other than force them or to put them on a spot, I would never do that because they have enough, like you say, to do with just a few people that they have.
Okay, and then you talked about the markers. So, whatever is used to mark said rose bush, does that come from the company?
I'm going to be talking to them at the company, or there is a nursery that I know of that has markers.
Are they complimentary or are they at a cost?
They're at a cost.
Okay.
The cost will be from the person who buys the roses.
Okay, so that would be in addition to that. And then, is this for a fundraiser or is it just for like just to memorialize?
No, this is for the veterans. This is not a fundraiser.
Okay. And then, Trustee Burgess touched on this, but I had it written down too. Fountains or fencing, is there any plans or any idea to maybe fence off using,
No, we don't need fencing. I mean,
I'm
let's,
just asking because the kids walk they hop on, I've literally seen kids
Yeah.
hop on the Veterans Memorial. Just, instead of walking around it, they will jump on it, they will climb on it, and I don't know that something like this, I like the visualization of it, and I like the fact that how the layout is, and I would be concerned about anybody walking on them, trying to pull them up or anything like that, where if there was a decorative boundary that may deter.
well, then you're talking about the village spending some money to do that.
I'm asking, is this part of the plan? That this is a
I had no plans for that because I didn't want the village to spend any money on it.
Wait, something to think about, because I know if I spend.
Well, let me say something. What I have here today is just to introduce to you what we can do there. The final phase on this that we could have, like what they have to do, what if they don't do it, where the fertilizer is going to come from, that would be taken care of because we have until next spring to do this, but this isn't the final, final.
I understand that. I'm asking these questions because when you come back to present, then these are the things, just like we had the last presentation. I'm asking these questions because when you come back, then you need to be able to provide this information to the board. So
Oh, absolutely.
And then purchaser info. You talked about making sure that you had like names and, you know, the information of whose bush was where, blah, blah, blah. Where is that going to be kept? Is that going to be kept by Trustee Tate in the village hall? Is that going to be kept by the front desk? Or how is that going to be?
That's going to be kept by either Trustee Tate or the mayor, or I'm going to have a copy of it. But either Trustee Woods, the last.
Well, personally, I just know that any type of resident information, I would think maybe should be kept in the village hall. I know.
Well, that could be kept in the village hall.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying wherever you want to put it, it doesn't matter with me. I mean, whatever, if you want to keep it in the village hall, keep it with the mayor, keep it with the trustees, or keep it, you know, whatever. This is for the village. It's not for an individual person.
I completely understand that, but because it's for the village, I don't know that it's necessarily right for a resident to have residents' information. That's why I'm suggesting that these be kept within the village. I'm not saying that this is.
Are you saying that I shouldn't have any information
No,
on
what
this?
I'm saying is that I would not want anybody on my committee to have other residents' information. I think that a resident's name, address, phone number should be something that's kept in the village. That's not an attack on you personally, that's an attack on anybody else. Village resident information needs to stay in the village. That's what I'm saying. I'm also not saying that this is a good thing for the village. What I'm saying is that it needs to be definite guidelines. If you don't maintain your rose bush, this is going to happen.
Yeah, I realize that.
So that's all I'm saying. I don't know if anybody's saying that this is a bad idea. I'm not saying it, but we need more information, which you have time to provide. It's not till the springtime. We need more information before we move forward. That's what
Well,
I'm saying.
before I move forward too, I'd like to have the information that it's worth going forward to do this project.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Trustee Washington has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say to you, Mr. Sullivan, I think it's a great idea. I'm definitely in favor of it, and I think this is something great that Trustee Tate you came up with. But my question is, I think it's been answered already. I was concerned about those who want to participate. You're only going to have space for 42 or 45. So if you get, it's first come, first served basis of the application. So then once you get that amount, you can't have any more.
Right.
Okay, because, you know, if the clerk would be blasted, you have a lot of people that do know about greenery and do know about, you know, planning, and they should like to participate. So they need to know it's on a first come, first served basis. That's one question I want to know. And the cost would only be for the person that want to purchase the rolls, to purchase for the materials and the seeds, the planting. Is it I didn't see a one cost on here. Is it like $10, $30, $50?
Last page is what roses are.
Oh, it have the name for the roses, like always and forever, $24.95, color red. That
Yeah.
okay.
Trustee Tate?
Let me put this in perspective if I can. So Mr. Sullivan approached me, he had the idea of beautifying memorial that we have out there. And his idea was a rose bush. And I told him at that time, which he'll confirm, that I know zilch about a rose bush. It could be a cactus. I couldn't raise that. He said that he had the expertise, he had the time, and he would oversee the project. He identified rose bushes, which in the catalog that he showed everyone, which he think will grow appropriately in this area. The question is about whether there are more than 42 people that sign up for it. Mr. Sullivan said that he would reduce the space between the roses for them to allow for that. Again, I know nothing about it. This is his project, and I told him to present it to the board and see what you felt about it. We know the problem with the children, that they may up, kick them out. We know that. Most of the things that have been said, Mr. Sullivan and I sat down and I asked the very same questions that you have about how to protect the marker, how to protect the rose bush itself, who's going to maintain it, how they maintain it. And he said that he could oversee all of that activity. So my thought was to let him present it to the board, see what your feelings were about it before he started dedicating any more time to it. And if it's something that we don't need to do or we cannot ensure is going to enhance the appearance of the village, the appearance of the memorial, then we need not do it. He understands that. We talked about that. We talked too much about rose bushes. And I still don't know anything about rose bushes. So it's a matter of if you think it's something that, if you collectively think it's something that should be tried, it may not pan out, we don't know. With relationship to the bricks and the conversation there, Mr. Sullivan's idea was everyone that has a brick would be given first option, excuse me, to purchase a rose bush. So that's the first come, first served. If you have a brick that's out there, it's going to be placed out there, then you would have, before John Doe would have the opportunity to place a rose bush out there. So there are things that he needs to work on, and he understands that, but he just wants to get a feel as per stage on what you thought about it. And if it's not something that you want to do, then that's what he needs to find out so he doesn't dedicate any more of his time to it. And I think that's all I have.
Another thing there, you're going to probably ask, and nobody has asked yet, who's going to be buying these? Where will these rose bushes be at the time it's being bought? Well, if it's approved by the board and the mayor, I would buy them. I would take them, leave them in my basement. I have a place where I grow flowers. And then I can distribute them around with the people. I can call the people and ask them when they want to do it, how they want to do it, and that'll be done. But as far as anything else, yes.
Wait a minute. Oh, you're going to purchase all the rose bushes and then the people that want to give you the money?
No, the money will not be, no, I said I will, well, maybe I should, I will receive the rose bushes from the grower.
Okay.
The money itself will not be with me, it will be with trustee Tates.
So if I want to purchase a rose bush, I would give the money to trustee Tate. And then he would tell you, okay.
I will be there at the time that they order the rose bush.
Okay, so we can't see the rose bush that we're gonna get.
You want to see it? I'll show you.
No, I'm talking about the actual rose bush.
Well, you have to wait until the season grows.
I understand that. I'm just saying there's no place to go. You order to be ordered.
No, there's no place for you.
Okay, so you're gonna be ordering them off a catalog.
Okay, on top of this, maybe I didn't say this either, and nobody's asked, the guarantee of the roses. There is a guarantee of roses. As a matter of fact, I think you have it down there.
I'm sorry, Mr. Coleman, can I see your catalog?
We didn't see the catalog. Okay, so the only thing I'm asking is, you mentioned bare root.
Yes.
Okay, if I wanted to purchase a rose, do I have to go with bare root or can I go with pot?
You can go with pot.
Okay, that's my question, because I have experience with bare root, and if the soil is not pristine, the roots won't move. So that's why you go with the pot.
I know how to put a bare root in. I will show them, and I will have the material or the soil to maintain it to where it will grow.
Okay.
All right, I think, you know, first of all, thank you very much for presenting this. I think the board has a lot to review. I would encourage you to go out to the site, take a look with your drawing to find out exactly what he's looking at. I think there's some questions that were brought up tonight that need to come back to the board And then, again, we're not going to be voting on anything, we're not approving anything tonight, so thank you very much for presenting.
I'd like to mention one thing. If I'm out of order, tell me if I'm out of order, Mayor, but if I have to get something straight. I've been working with Parks and Recreation for...
That's not on the agenda. Okay? So, yeah, we're on the agenda item right here, and we're talking about the rose bush.
Okay.
Okay? So, public comment is next. And you get 3 minutes comment on a topic of your choice. All right?
That's for me?
For anyone. So, but
All right.
not right now.
All right.
Do you want to stand behind Ms. Brewer, and then you can mention your comment?
Right.
We go to the next agenda.
So,
Oh.
all right?
Like I say, I'm
So,
new to this.
all righty. All righty. So we move to item number 5, public comment. All questions and comments must be directed to the mayor. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to comment on topics of their choice. Each speaker will be allowed 1 opportunity to speak. And I see we already have someone at the podium.
Bernice Brewer on behalf of the Sauk Citizens Public Awareness. Mr. Mayor, I want to comment on your giving the trustees information where they can have time to research it. I want you to keep doing that, and that's something that the residents want you to do. And I also want to agree with Trustee Burgess is that you don't have to vote on it tonight. Those things are fantastic. Second thing you asked for is the trustees to have questions of the trucking company that's coming on board. Now, I have a bunch of questions and things I don't understand about the trucking company, so who do I give my questions to? And I can say a few right now, too. You want me to list my?
Oh, go ahead. I mean, do you have anything else?
Okay, my question, who's going to take the questions for the trucking company?
The village administrator.
Oh, okay. Well, the first comment is that when the young lady spoke first, she talked about solid waste. Then when Jones asked him, he said there would be no hazmat trucking there. I have never seen a trucking company that doesn't have a washout, and I want him to explain that. And if they're going to transport solid waste or environmental hazard materials, I'd like to know, given the fact that we have problems with roadway right now and have had it in the past, what restrictions are we going to have for them, related to this matter? And also, I'd like to know, are those wetlands back there protected? Do we have any kind of impact study on the ground or anything to tell us that they can use that back there? I know it's back in the tip. And my biggest concern is that companies are coming out here. This is a large company, as somebody mentioned before, just like USA, but USA gets, U.S. investigation gets free rent. Now these people want to come in here and get 88 acres of land at $45,000 an acre, and that's like $3.9 million, and they want it free. I don't understand that. And the next thing I want to know is that they iron our tip money. I do believe we got a lot of things we need to do with that tip money besides giving away free land. And let's see. Also, they sat here and they didn't tell us any kind of revenue that they want to bring into the village for the next 3, 5, 10 years. What's going on with that? There are so many questions. And also, I want to ask that a couple months ago we spent $16,500 to buy some land. Is that the same land they're talking about, or is this a different set of land? So, I mean, those are questions that. I mean, I have more, but you get the gist of what I'm talking about. So if anybody could come back and ask us and let us know what's going on, especially with the impact on environmental issues, since we had the problem with roadway, since we have the problem with roadway, we need to know if we get another trucking company out there, what safeguards are going to be put in place to protect our, land, housing, whatever's out there that affects residents.
All right. You brought up some good questions, and real quick, I'm just going to run through some of this real quick. Tonight, and just so I make sure everyone's clear, tonight was a presentation only of what they want to bring to Sauk Village. There was no giving anything away tonight. And what they did was said, we want to bring a business and here's what we want. I guess you look at it as part of negotiations. When I'm going to go in there, I'm going to say, I want everything. And they're coming in here saying, I want everything, okay? So they're saying, I want the land free, I want tax breaks, I want TIF, I want enterprise zone. They gave a whole entire list, and the board has that. They're going to review it, okay? You know, the board's going to make a decision on, you know, do we want to give the land away, or do we want to put it up for sale? Or are we going to give them a better price that they're going to get? That's up to the board to make a decision. So tonight, there's no decisions made. This is the first step. And when you're dealing with a business coming to your community, there's multiple steps. There's steps where they contact my office and say, hey, I have a great idea. I want to bring this business to your town. I meet with them, and they present something, and I say, okay, I'll tell you what. I've got a board of 6 members. I want you to come and present it to them. And then they're going to come back and say, we have all this list of questions, and then you're going to end up having to come back. They have to make a decision on how much money they want to put into the project, and is the project worthwhile. So we're quite a few steps away from okay. Well, okay. No, I'm just trying to point some of this stuff out real quick. The you know, the hazardous waste and things like that. That stuff will come out. If this business comes to Sauk Village, there is things that will be looked into to make sure that they sit not bring hazardous waste in. There'll be steps in place to make sure they don't. We talk about the wetlands. We have engineers that have that property already laid out. They know exactly where the wetlands are. They know what can be built on, what cannot be built on. There's laws out there that say that people can, or companies can buy wetlands somewhere else and be able to mitigate that property, and mitigate maybe not be the word, but there's laws out there where wetlands can be removed if it's put somewhere else. Again, I'm not getting involved in that, so, and then the environmentals will definitely, if this goes further, there's going to be environmental studies done. So, again, tonight was just a presentation only, again, saying here, this is what I want to bring to your town. So, I just want to make sure that that's clear.
Oh, well, I think everybody knows that.
Right.
We just want our questions, at least my questions answered.
Right.
Okay?
All right? Next.
Good evening. Mayor Hanks, honorable trustees, village clerk. I come before you this evening not only as a village fire chaplain, but also as a pastor with 30-plus years in this community. As you're all aware, the pastors and churches of this community have worked together in solidarity for the past 15 years to overcome economic strife, ethnic division, the strife to establish a more harmonious and residential-friendly environment for us all to live, work, and raise our families in. All of our churches have put aside their denominational differences and have given unselfishly to sponsor the Shine Gospel Fest, interfaith Thanksgiving services, food and clothing drives, as well as back-to-school backpack giveaways and uniform drives. All of this said, it's come to my attention that it's necessary to clear up some misunderstanding generated from the cancellation of the Shine Gospel Fest this fall. I stand before you and I accept the full blame because it was brought to my attention that some of the leaders of this endeavor had their lives threatened. And I'll be very frank with you. I am a man of God. I believe in God to the utmost. In fact, the thing that just flashed behind my mind was the march around the village of Jericho. God protected his people then. But what I want to say is that I did not feel after prayer that I had the authority to put anybody in danger. So I, and I alone, made a decision to cancel it. Again, if you must point a finger at someone, point it at me. Having said that, I wish to make one more statement before making a request to the board. As a Christian and a pastor, I spent many sleepless nights with that decision that I made. You know, I grew up in a family where...
30 seconds.
Okay. Well, let's move on then to what I'm here for. I would like to request of the board permission to either rent or use the community center behind the police station on the Saturday night, November 21st, to have a cake and coffee fellowship open to the entire community and celebrate our God-given rights as American citizens as we live under his watchful eye. Thank you.
Right. The request was sent to Trustee Jones. Trustee Jones is over the community center. November 21st. So if there's, he'll look at the schedule, make sure nothing's going on, but there is probably some paperwork he'll have to fill out. That you'll need to fill out, but that would go to the Parks and Recs Committee, which is Trustee Jones who oversees that. So, Trustee Jones, if you don't mind, would you mind getting with him after the meeting? So we'll begin with your after the meeting. All right? You have your turn. Go ahead.
All right, well, like I was saying, I've been out here since 1969 for one thing. I've been ahead of the Sauk Village Sports Association. I've been ahead of the Parks and Recreation on basketball and using other committee programs. I'm on this committee now. I'm trying to put a basketball program together, but it seems like I can't get it together. It seems like I have people that are against of what I'm doing or how I'm putting it together. Now, they want to do it themselves, okay, fine. But as a time that they told me that they would rather have it their way, I haven't seen any advertisement. I haven't seen anything in Sauk Talk where they says what's happening here in Sauk Village. And I haven't seen anything put up on the businesses. And right now, I like to find out where I stand. Am I going to be putting this basketball program together with the cooperation of the head, or am I not going to be putting this together? That's what I like to find out. I've been trying to do it for 3 years. They say that they couldn't put it together because of kind of what I was saying. But what I put out everything that I could. And it's waiting for the people to come out and register themselves.
Do you have anything else?
No, that.
All right, we will take this offline. And as we all know, the head of the Parks and Recs is Trustee Jones. And have you meet with Trustee Jones, and if you need my support, if you need anything from me, I will help. But this is not probably the format that we want to discuss this at. This is something that you need to talk to the head of the committee, and if you have to talk to the committee members, let's do that, right?
I would like to speak with Trustee Jones, okay, but I have been unable to do so.
All right. We'll see if we can get some time together, okay?
Well, the only thing is now we have registration this...
Hang on, okay? If I have to, I will help, okay? But let's leave it that way here, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay. That isn't fine. Yes.
I have a couple of questions. Lincoln Lansing drainage ditch needs to be cut and or burned. Who is supposed to take care of this? Because as homeowners, we do pay a fee to Lincoln Lansing, and it's not maintained. We're going to have, it has garbage in it, weeds, tall grass, and what. We're going to have snakes, mice, and rats out climbing on this. They need to be addressed. Also, the grass from Lincoln Lansing to the street. Some residents are mowing it, some residents are not. That also needs to be addressed. It looks disgusting. On a heavier note, I would or question a call because it may or may not be a Cook County house. If there is, and I've witnessed two of them. One was an ambulance, one was a fire alarm. And they sat there and they argued back and forth. This belongs to Cook County. Well, can't they answer it? There's lives at stake. A house is being burglarized, being burned down. There's a medical emergency. Why do they have the right to argue over people's lives? I think it's disgusting. My other one is, and I spoke to a couple of police officers, they know what houses are selling drugs. They know what houses have firearms. What's being done about it? I can name you 3 houses around where I live. Nothing is being done. And there's gunfire almost every night. And this is my last thing here. If a raid has been taken on a house, people are arrested, taken to court, stood before a Markham judge. The Markham judge slaps them on the hand, sends them back home. What right do they have to come back into Sauk Village? That's the end of my questions.
All right. I'm not even going to try to answer you for information from residents. I would encourage you to meet with the chief. If you have addresses, you talked about where the drugs are being sold, you know where there's shootings and stuff like that, please make sure he has that information. If you have dates and times when you heard where officers refused to go to a police call, fire call, I know that he would want those dates because he can go back and listen to the tapes and find out exactly what happened. I know our police chief has been very busy lately because he's been following up on just about everything. In fact, I think he's been following up on everything. So I would encourage you to please meet with him before you go home and give him as much information as possible because he will definitely address them. When it comes to the grass, JW already has that. We'll get with Kevin. I can tell you that the Lincoln Lansing drainage ditch, you're right, we pay a separate tax. That's a separate taxing body. However, the village throughout the years has mowed those once or twice a year. We go through there and mow it. I know over by where I live, we take care of that whole entire ditch. So we mow ours, I think, probably 3 or 4 times a year. So, but that is a separate taxing body. So I'll have JW work with Kevin. We'll find out, especially, I know you're talking about the fenced area in the medium between the street and the fence that goes to the ditch. I did see that when I was driving down Sauk Trail. I looked down through there and saw a couple of those not being mowed. So we'll follow up on that. But please meet with the chief. He's standing right back. Give him as much information as possible, and will you help keep your information confidential? Because he wants to go after these bad guys as bad as you want them out of your area. So, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rose Langston. I just want to remind everybody that this coming Friday is our Sauk Village Open Senior Activity Day. The hours would be from 12:30 to 3 because the senior center has to be set up for the spaghetti dinner on Saturday. I hope everybody has their tickets. Advance tickets are $5. And we have quite a few of our members here. They have tickets, and also Village Hall has them. Otherwise, it's $6 at the door. I do want to make some comments that we've had out-of-towners coming in trying to take over our Friday activity day, claiming it's their group. There was never any authorization to permit anyone to set up a village committee's program. It's always been Sauk Village Open Senior Activity. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Judy Gass. I wanted to bring up these FOIA request conflicts. Inasmuch as a lot of people come to the board meeting and don't get their questions answered, they've been told FOIA it.
Now that we have JW micromanaging department heads and departments, now he's gonna micromanage all the FOIA requests. Mayor, you said yourself, FOIA it. And now there's too many FOIAs and there's too much trouble with it. How are we gonna get answers if we don't FOIA? And if I FOIA and I don't get an answer, then the state's attorney needs to be notified. And I have a FOIA that was put out almost 2 years ago. I still haven't got a comment to it. And you, Mr. Mayor, told me so-and-so would handle it, and then so-and-so will handle it, and I still haven't heard. So I'm telling you, if you can't get your questions answered, you're not giving us any other alternative but to FOIA it. And I do have questions, and they haven't been answered, therefore I am going to FOIA. And if necessary, I will contact the state's attorney's office if I can't get answers that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing none. Move to miscellaneous comments from Board of Trustees. Trustee Lindsay.
Yes, just a couple things I wanted to announce. The Village Resource Fair will be November 5th. And the first couple things are going to be in the what's happening now in Sauk Village, so if you have any other questions, please refer to that. The fair will be from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Village Hall. Also, everybody who signed up for their rain barrels, they should be delivered in about 3 weeks. Again, the memorial bricks that were discussed in a little bit tonight by the Veterans Memorial, those are on sale again. They are $40 per brick. And if you have any questions, you can see the village clerk, or all the information is what's happening in Sauk Village. Also, the Cook County Sheriff's Police Department, Youth Services Department, has a recognition that they do for children. And we are looking for applicants. The person, in order to be appointed, needs to have at least, live in Cook County, needs to have at least 100 hours of volunteer services while in grades 9 through 12 between September 1st, 2014 and August 31st, 2015. The application must be postmarked no later than October 26th. If you have anybody who you would like to appoint for this, please contact the village clerk and she can give you this information. It is a really nice program. I was actually a gold medal recipient of this 2 times in my lifetime. And it's a big, huge ceremony. The kids come, they get a medal, kind of a big deal. So if you know anybody who would fit into this, again, grades 9 through 12, and could provide documentation of at least 100 volunteer service hours between September 1st, 2014 and August 31st, 2015, please contact the village clerk. The Community Outreach Partnership Committee met today, where we got the opportunity to introduce the new chief and kind of explain what things we were looking to do. And we are planning a couple of different things. Number one, a meet and greet for December. We kind of cooked around some dates, but one of the things we talked about is when is Santa coming to the village? So if we can work together.
We just spoke.
Trust me. Come December.
Yes, we're looking for a date in December, and we're not sure if we want to kind of make it on the same day because they'll be right across from each other, if we want to have it on a different day. So we kind of wanted to know when Santa was coming to town. So if you could let me know, then we can coordinate that. Also, as a committee, we decided to work with the village clerk on a couple different projects. Last year, she introduced the program of Share the Warmth. And if you remember, that's where we had boxes lined up in the village hall where you were able to donate your gently used coats, scarves, hats, earmuffs, gloves, gently used or new. And that program really took off. A lot of people benefited from it. So if you have anything like that that you're willing to donate, we are in the process of getting boxes and everything so we can have that in the hallway. Also, the village clerk worked on and presented a program last year that we are going to be working with her on this year, Cookies, Carols, and More. For those of you who guys remember it, what we did was we had children and families came into the village hall. We had a Christmas donate, and, and toys. It's a toy drive as well. And we plan on putting boxes in the village hall and as various places around the village to ask for non-perishable items. Last year, how it worked was non-perishable items were placed in a bag, and then the significant meat of the meal, your turkey, your ham, whatever, we did not provide that. We provided a $25 June gift card. So they were able to fill in the blank with whatever they wanted. That's kind of the goal that we have for this year as well. So please look out for more information about that. And if you would like to donate any funds, please contact myself or the village clerk, or by next week, hopefully we will have boxes in the village hall. So if you would like to, upon your meetings, donate a couple cans of corn, a box of Jiffy Mix, whatever you can do, we greatly appreciate that. My final thing is Shop with a Cop. This is a program that I know I mentioned before that has not been in the village for over 6 years due to some financial issues, some participation issues, and we're definitely, I spoke with Officer Morris a few times, we have a tentative date of December 4th, and we are excited to bring it back. And we're looking to, just as an overview, have 3 students from every grade, K through 8, which would be 27 students, and the schools are selecting those students. Letters have gone out to them, and I do have a contact person that I'm working with. They will provide the students to us. We are looking for the opportunity for police officers and some chaperones from the schools to take the kids to a store that has not been determined yet. They will have an amount given to them on a gift card, and they will be able to purchase items for themselves for Christmas. The Police Alliance donated $1,000, which we are very thankful for. We, as a committee, are looking to double that. We will be selling candy bars. We are planning a casino trip for November 11th, which I know some of you guys have participated in the past, and it's a very good fundraiser. And we are also going to be placing donation cans around the village because every little bit helps. Like I said, we have $1,000 so far. The deputy chief, or Rebecca Salisbury, raised $88 at the National Nights Out. She then added more money to that from her own pocket to equal $100. So currently we have $1,100. We are looking for $2,050. So any donations that you have for that, or any suggestions for donations, are great. If you could please contact me, that would be great.
You're working with the chief for the police officer?
Yes, we are working with the chief on Shop with a Cop. We're working on the chief with the sheriff award. I'm pretty excited about that. And we're working on the chief, with the chief with Cookies Carol's Award because he is looking for seeking outside donations for us as well. So he was very integral in our meeting today. So thank you very much for participating and coming with some suggestions. And we have a couple other things that we will be bringing after the first review.
Yeah, I got a question for you. You said the rain barrels will be delivered in 3 weeks. What about the ordinance?
That went back to the ordinance review committee. I tried to get it passed, lickety-split, but it went back for further review. So unfortunately, the rain barrels might be delivered before the ordinance is complete. Not that I wanted it that way. I will be preparing a letter letting the residents know what's expected, whatever they accept the review.
All right, Trustee Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to bring to the attention of the board and to the residents that we're going to have a veteran celebration here. It'll be November 11th at 11 o'clock. We have a full program, and we're hoping to have a luncheon afterwards. I'll be getting more details out to the residents and to the board, but you can put it in your calendars, 11 at 11 o'clock. That'll be November 11th at 11 o'clock here at the village. We have a scheduled program with some surprises, and we're looking to try to put a luncheon on for the veterans after the program is over with. As far as my committee for public works, I have talked to Kevin. I've been out in the field and looking and talking to him about some of the things that he would like to have his wish list. I will be bringing that to the board. We'll see what the budget holds and what he's about to get finished with, I think, paying for the street sweeper, so there's some things that he would like to have. that may fit into this budget this year, but I will be bringing that to the board formally at a later date. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Trustee Myers, you got the mic? Work with that this one.
Just a couple of things. The ordinance review committee will meet Thursday at 7 p.m. We'll have the agenda posted outside on the board. We've been asked to look at the Green Girls, the false alarm ordinance, and the looking at reviewing the ordinance that was sent back to us on last week, a couple weeks ago. We have another committee. I'll review, give you a full review on that one at the board meeting on the state controller. I'll give you a full one on next week on that. It is working. People have been notified, and we're getting a revenue in. At the present time, I don't know. I've asked Ohan to contact the collector, and he will give us the exact amount that has been collected and it is sent back to us. But I'll give you a full report on it next week.
Trustee Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I just want to say that our meeting will be as usual the second Monday of this month, which will be this coming Monday, and we will have 2 guest speakers. We will have Mr. Richmond Ford there to talk about if you want cameras at your house. He is a licensed technician that know how to install cameras. He'll be there with his resume and everything else. If you're concerned about the safety of your house, the front, the back, he'll be there to give you a good price in the package if you want cameras at your residence. And also, we're going to have our police chief there to answer questions on public safety. We're looking forward to having him there, the block club captain, so that you're coming in. They have a lot of information to give you, so make sure you bring a legal pad or a recording device because they have a lot to say. They really do watch the blocks, and I really do thank them for all the input that they have. I wanted to also say to Pastor Hall that I was very distraught because Shannon was canceled. I'm always distraught anytime something that's a program that will edify and enhance spirituality and inspiration to the village. It's not able to happen. I did talk to some of the pastors just to find out what was going on because I couldn't believe that it was canceled. I think that your statement when you said you wanted to rent the facility for the community center for unity for the pastors, I think that's a good thing. I think we need some healing, may need to go on. Some of the pastors expressed to me that they felt that they didn't have full participation when it was their turn to do the prayer or if it was their turn to hold something. So maybe this would be a chance that the pastors can really sit down and talk and revisit with each other and bring the congregations out as a whole to have coffee and cake or whatever your invitation is going to be. You can give me some of those flyers. I have no problem in helping to disseminate those in the community for you, for that program. And finally, I want to say that I did go to the open gym. I co-chair with Parks and Recs. Didn't know what it was going to be, but I had a very, very good time at the open gym. Walking in the door, I got challenged to jump double dutch by Miss Juanita Burgess. I'm like, I am not jumping double dutch. She's like, come on, Trustee Washington, jump double dutch. I'm like, no. Then she jumped double dutch. I said, oh no, I can't let Juanita Burgess beat me jumping rope. So I jumped, but I promise you the next day I felt it. So for those that didn't come to the open gym, I did bring my grandchildren. They had an awesome time. They went home and told their parents about it. So I just want to encourage those that didn't come. I know that Trustee Jones is going to do it again. They had hot dogs and snacks for everyone that came, and everyone took a break to go and eat together in like a little break room, so that gave everybody a chance to talk. And I just really enjoyed it. I stayed for the whole thing. And I wanted to just commend him and the committee on putting that together, and it was a lot of fun. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Jones.
Trunk or treat will be from 1 to 4, starting at Rickover, down to the community center. Halloween trick or treating will be from 4 to 6 p.m.
When is trunk or treating date?
Oh, Saturday, that'll be an actual Halloween night, the 31st. There will be prizes for best costumes, and there will be prizes for best pet costumes also. So come out and enjoy yourself. And then that, my report. 4 to 6 p.m.
Right. 4 to 6?
That's for trick or treat. That's for the whole village is from 4 to 6.
All right. Make sure you do an e-blast on that, and make sure it's on the website.
Just waiting for the official announcement.
Trustee Tates. Thursday, right? Wednesday or Thursday? Wednesday? Wednesday. All right. Trustee Tate, you're taking up this time. Figure out what day of the week it is after we get done.
Someone on this board would have acknowledged Trustee Burgess' activities. A few meetings ago, he had one of our bills tabled, successfully tabled, which is the payment to our law firm. As a result of that, we found out that we were overcharged $1,275. Maybe that's not a lot of money to some people. I think $1,275 is significant. I'm distressed that a trustee had to cause this to happen. I'm not sure he's an accountant. There should have been someone else who looked at the bills and questioned some of the things that he brought up. And he had a number of things, which is why it was tabled. But there was one thing that was found. And it's my understanding that we will reimburse the $1,275, which causes me some distress that it was tabled but paid anyway. For it to be reimbursed, it had to be paid. But nevertheless, I think Trustee Burgess should be given some appreciation for being diligent and watching out how the village money is being spent. Second thing is, I have received an email that a committee was working on revitalizing the Sauk Talk. And it provided some history about why the Sauk Talk was no longer being mailed out to residents. It was also stated that it would be discussed in a committee meeting of everything that they found out about the Sauk Talk. That did not happen. The next thing I know is that an immediate check is issued for $500+ for the Sauk Talk. I'm distressed by that. Maybe I should not have expected information concerning the Sauk Talk. Nevertheless, that's what happened. Final thing on the Sauk Talk. I absolutely do not think it is a document that should be used in a negative manner. It's a document that's supposed to tell everyone what's going on in the community. I was distressed by the article concerning our police department. I do not think an article like this should ever be printed. I think if we have concerns about police department, public works department, fire department, we should take those up face to face and not put those kind of things in print. So I am embarrassed by that article, and I hope the police officers of Sauk Village aren't affected negatively by that article. That's all I have.
I pulled up the email. The email said that the topic can definitely be discussed at the next meeting, but it did not say it would be discussed. The reason why I said that it could be discussed was because I was asking that we mail it out because it had not been mailed out since 2009. From my understanding, what I asked was if you have any questions or concerns about agreeing to the immediate check, the information regarding the new dispatch process. After the committee discussed this with the mayor, it was decided that we should seek pricing for printing and mailing. As you may or may not know, the Sauk Talk used to be mailed out for every edition. This process stopped in 2009 due to budgetary constraints. Because of that, we have made copies in the municipal center and placing them around the village. The last edition that was mailed out was a few years ago. This topic can definitely be discussed further at the next week's committee meeting, but I wanted to inform you before the board will make further. If you have any questions, please contact me, blah, blah, blah. Nobody contacted me with questions. Nobody contacted me with concerns. I did bring it up again at the next meeting, and I stated, I thanked everybody for their consensus because that Sauk Talk edition was able to go out. And as far as the content that was in there, let me state this again. All we do is put the Sauk Talk together. And I wanted to actually bring up the Sauk Talk earlier, and I chose not to because I think it's being underused. There's a lot of events that could be going in. We used to have every trustee writing an article every time a Sauk Talk went out. We don't have it anymore. It is a platform that you are able to use. But again, let me stress how it works. First of all, it has to be submitted electronically to myself or the village clerk. It has to be submitted electronically. Just like these flyers, just like the website, okay? Second, we don't proofread. We don't change your sentences. If you write an article that is not grammatically correct, it is going to have your name on it because we don't proofread. We did that in the past, and we tried to make things grammatically correct, and then people, that's not the way I meant it, so we don't touch it. You submit an article, we supply it, that's it. And you're right, it is not supposed to be used for, there's one Sauk Talk every 2 years that is a political Sauk Talk. And all of you new trustees, I'm sure you remember, you received information, you put your information in, you're given the opportunity to put your picture, put your bio. That is the only Sauk Talk in 2 years that is political. Nothing else should be political, nothing else should be bashing. This is for information purposes only. So that article, as you recall, was not written by me. And again, we don't proofread, we don't do anything like that. You submit an article, we post it. The mayor has his own special corner that he puts in every time. The village clerk has her own special corner. And usually other committees have put in things from time to time. We encourage that. And again, I feel like it's being underused. But as far as any type of extra communication that you didn't get, I'm sorry that you didn't feel that you got that information. But the email was, I wanted to let the board know, we had talked to the mayor. It was under the amount we suspected that it was going to be under the amount that we would have had to go out for bidding, or we would have had to do anything like that. It could have been a check that was written. And the email that stated was, we were approved to seek pricing, which is what we did. We brought that pricing back. The board had already given the consensus. So there was already, it was done the proper way. It just was not brought up at the next meeting because nobody questioned me on it.
Okay, here, one thing, and we keep talking about consensus today. Number one, Trustee Jones and I know that our email does not work properly all the time. So if you send anything through the Sauk Village web, we may or may not receive it. And that's been since the beginning of time. So if you send something out that as a follow-up with our email system not being received, or for me, with the email system not working for me, I did not know anything about a consensus on doing anything. I expected, when it indicated you were seeking pricing, I expected to come back and say, well, we found ABC printing that are doing for us for X amount of dollars. That would have been sufficient. That was some feedback. That would be closing the loop on the whole thing of you seeking pricing. This is what you found. This is what you're going to pay for. That's just closing the loop. It was left wide open. So I was upset when I saw the immediate check for the Sauk Talk. And finally, I did not accuse you of writing any articles or doing anything. I never said that. So don't be offended.
You didn't say that. If we could maybe contact Gerald then, because if we're having some problems with emails, I know that I personally emailed you one-on-one to Sauk Village, and you replied back to me, but I didn't know. I don't think I've ever emailed you, Trustee Jones. So I don't know that this is anything. And I got my information back. So if there's a problem, maybe we need to look at emails and
with Gerald, and he's looking at the system for me.
Okay.
So I don't know.
September 11th at 11:39 a.m., you actually did vote that you said no, not unless we discuss it. So you got that email that I sent earlier, Rose, and you did reply to it. So I'm not sure if there was a subsequent email about cost, but the invoice was placed in everybody's box, and everybody was made aware of the cost. I think it was placed in your box, but it was called later, whatever. But your email worked at the time you say no.
I believe that the information was provided, but if there's something you can find in the voice and then just resubmit, then that way everybody has it.
All right. Well, let's got a few things we're going to talk about here at the very end. Sauk Village Community Fall Clean Sweep is October 17th at 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. 17th. The Beautification Committee, Sauk Village friends and residents will gather behind the Village Hall here in the park behind us to form a task unit and choose locations for the fall cleanup. It begins at 9:30 a.m. So let your friends know if you're unable to come on the 17th. We encourage residents to clean up around your area, pick up around your street. If you have a senior nearby, go over and help them. All right. So again, we're getting ready to go into the winter months. This is a great time. Excuse me. Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago, Inc. will have their free fall homeowners checkup. This is Saturday, October 10th. That's this Saturday from 9 to 1. That's at South Suburban College. That's in South Holland. You can register at www.nhschicago.org. There's documents lists. They're also encouraging mortgage modifications, mortgage reviews, homeowner insurance reviews, and helpful resources. So they're encouraging home ownership. If you know anyone, any of your neighbors and your friends, this is again this Saturday. Also this Saturday from 9 to 11 here at the Village Hall, there's going to be a meet mayor. So we're going to make sure, we're going to try to get some information that we received at the IML. We'll try to make sure, see if I can get the projector working. And we've got some PowerPoints, hopefully, when it comes to things that we have here tonight about getting questions answered and things like that. There were some great classes on questions from the audience and responsibilities of the municipalities and the elected officials. We're going to make sure we get that information out. There's talks about meetings and minutes and times and things like that. So there's a lot of questions, and the attorneys who had the classes, which the attorneys for the classes were Diamond, Ansel and Glenn, who write the book for state statutes. So they are the experts in state law. So we got their slides. So hopefully we'll have those going on. And then again, it's a meet the mayor time. We'll make it a little more formal probably on Saturday. So we've got that. Again, there's been a little bit of talk about the Sauk Talk. People can say, the articles are negative, but the articles are truthful. There's been a lot of false information out there. So whenever you respond to the false information, it may seem negative, but this is very truthful. We put out the times, dates, what happened. So take offense to it. It is what it is. It's the truth. So, and we'll continue putting the truth out because there's too many people out there lying. And we'll continue putting the truth out. We'll continue putting the information out. That it'll be on my timeline. It won't be on their timeline. Just want to make that clear also. So that the residents have all the truth. So the other thing too is, and again, I got people over here out there that want to call me that name, call me liars. That's fine. But the other thing too is the front of this shows the financials. The financials are the numbers, the truth. So, when people want to say we're going bankrupt, so we can't make it, so we're not paying our bills, this is something we're going to try to make sure to put out every quarter so the village residents realize where we're at financially. And speaking of that, lastly, committees. Are the committees all having their meetings? Committee meetings?
Are you talking about like the standing committee meetings or?
Standing.
I know that there's been a conflict as far as times go. We are requesting that
which is an important one because budget and finance should probably be able to find if there's mistakes, right? And
I think that that's our goal. We talked in the very first meeting about kind of what our goal is. Hopefully, kind of getting some of the trustees' questions beforehand, before the meeting, we can kind of get some answers. And I didn't know about that fine that trustee Burgess had, the trustee, but that would be something that maybe we could peruse in the budget and finance committee, and then information like that could have been brought to the board.
so is you're the only committee which is budget and finance that hasn't met since we put out the new committees? There isn't that? All right.
No.
Can y'all adjourn?
All right, so, I would like to know a date and time since your committee's the only ones that haven't met, I want to know when you guys are going to meet. All right? So, all right? So you got 48 hours. That's an agenda.
No, he said tomorrow is mine. I thought he said tomorrow. I thought he said tomorrow was mine. That's what I thought. Okay.
All right, with that said, that's the motion to adjourn. Motion second, all in favor, say aye. Adjourn.